Logitech. Does that work? Is that really echoey now, is it? No audio, still no sound. No sound. I knew there was something wrong with the sound. And yet it worked fine on the stream, did it, right? SoundCloud, can't hear anything. Hi, Harry. Share screen chat. Unmute. Audio settings. Audio is... That sound is coming from the Logitech webcam. I have a feeling that's going to be fairly ropey, no? Does that work? Is that really echoey now? I can suddenly hear myself now. Yes, that's not great now, is it? Audio is on, sound is okay. It's okay, is it? Is the sound all right? Does it sound okay? Because that's coming from the Logitech webcam, which means I can put away that big microphone. I don't know why that didn't work today. It was working fine the other night. Anyway, I have a new computer, so it's probably something to do with me. As I tend to change all sorts of things. When I sit down on a computer, the first thing I do is start messing around with everything. Anyway, it is now 2 o'clock. See, I'm still on time, even though this is all kind of creeped out. I've changed the lighting, so the light is up there now. There's a light coming down on my face, which makes it look a bit better rather than light like a torch in my face. So we should be okay. It's fine, says Irish Runner. That's good. And we're all good. We're all good. Glad to hear it. Thank you all so much for watching the latest video, which put a gigantic amount of effort into, I have to say. It was bloody huge. It was brilliant, though. I really enjoyed it. The video is who originally killed the electric car. So the electric car has been around before and has been around again since then and is around again now. So this is not the first time we've had the electric car in the market. We've actually had, this is our third go of electric cars. Where's the music coming from? Shut up. My phone suddenly told me I was supposed to be at a meeting at 2 o'clock. This meeting, thanks phone. But yeah, that's the death of the electric car the first time around. My next step is to do Nikola Tesla in relation to Tesla, the car company now, but also want to do one on the bit in the middle. The bit in the middle is where the Tesla, where electric cars died for a second time, which was much more to do with the oil industry. Funny that I actually did mention the oil industry in it, and everybody's okay with that. That's good. The electric car one is actually trending now, so it's really done well. It's got over, I think it's 11,000 hits or 12,000 hits or something in 24 hours. So it's really, really done well. I'm very happy with that. It means the channel is growing very fast as well. And the diesel one, which went before that, was actually very good as well. That did incredibly well. And I've had lots of comments on my Mohawk, this thing in the middle, which has always been there, but it's just getting along. I've always had that kind of sweep in the middle thing. Because I've been cutting the hair around the sides, see, up to here, but cutting up here is a whole different ballgame. What do you do with that? How do you cut that bit? Like, that's what do you do? Like, the computer I'm after getting now is a PC, a full kind of video editing. I would say gaming PC, but I got it for video editing really. So same sort of principle. It's a beast of a machine, which allows me to do 4K and allows me to do high definition video like now, and I can talk directly to this great big camera here and have lights hanging out of it, and I can run multiple things at once when I'm sitting here, so I can do all kinds of stuff. It just expands and takes the pressure off little laptops and stuff. So all that support has come from you guys and has come from the sponsors on the channel, of which the sponsors for the channel are listed in the links down below. Shut up, phone. The sponsor listed down below. So Clearwater.ie has been a huge supporter for years of the channel, years. He literally has, John has been supporting this channel every week for years now. So he gets a big mention. And if you look, also there's other links down there too. If you want to find out how to do what I do, which is be able to live stream on YouTube, you should get in touch with Corago, who's the company who set me up here with Zoom and been able to put it out to live streams, and I can stream, I can take phone calls in the middle of this, I can do all sorts of stuff. And that's Jared Hewitt, who has been a huge supporter of the channel as well. So between all of those guys, this has been very, very good for the last few weeks. And of course, we've been able to get so many more subscribers. I had 1,000 new subscribers in the last 10 days or 15 days or something. It's just been mental. Really enjoyed that so far. I have to give an immediate shout out to Tommy Turfmold, who has put in a sticker worth $10 or euro or something on Super Chat. Thank you very much. There's also a list of links down below for supporting the channel on PayPal, on Patreon. Thank you to all the new patrons who have come in as well. You're very good to join us. Thank you very much. Robert Doyle, who I Zoom called earlier on the week, he was asking me a few things about cameras and YouTube and stuff as well. That's Robert Doyle. He's there too. He's going to start his own YouTube channel about cars. It was very good. It's always welcome. I have also, with the help, if you're not subscribed to a channel called Real Engineering, a lovely channel, really, really good channel. He's 2.5 million subscribers now. He's an Irish guy, lives in Texas. We have been batting back and forward, and between the two of us now, we've set up a Discord channel for Irish YouTubers. Now, it's particularly for YouTubers rather than being for you guys, or it's more about promoting your YouTube channel. So I will, if you keep an eye on our social media, myself and Brian from Real Engineering, I will be putting out information of how to get in touch with us about that Discord channel, because we want to grow an Irish community around YouTube, and I'm kind of at the pointy end of that, trying to make that happen. I've been trying to make it happen for ages through Facebook and stuff. Andy McAfee is in the house. Good man. Colin Whelan is here as well. I was just texting him a minute. He's painting in the backyard. What are you doing? This is the beautiful day out there. You know, you should be sun tanning. Get the top off, lie down, get a bit of a suntan, bit of vitamin D in you. I did a workout earlier on with Joe Wicks again, which is enough to make you puke. So I'm trying to shed off a few pounds and build a bit of bulk when I get into my 50s. Marty O, greetings, one and all. Come on, Marty O is a patron. Thank you very much, Marty O. You're very good. Your name sticks out. Obviously, as soon as I see the names, I'm used to reading out everybody's names every week. So some of the names come up and I recognize them every time. But Marty O is a patron and is a big subscriber to the channel. Hope everyone's keeping safe and well, and we'll pop in and out today as I'm working. Also watching Chris on battery life doing 1,000-kilometer challenge in the 10 hours in the Tesla M3. You see, the problem I have with that kind of testy thing is it's irrelevant. It's not, I know it makes great content, but it's kind of irrelevant because realistically, we know electric cars can go a long way these days. I mean, more than enough to make most people very happy with how far electric cars can go. So doing these tests is literally only clickbait. It's only getting people to click to do stuff. And there's in it lies the problem, that people are just clicking things because they think they have to click it and they want to watch Chris Harris, or I don't know what Chris that is, but Chris do his thing. And it's the same for the kind of, what's that guy up to north of Sweden or somewhere he does EV stuff as well. He seems to have the same sort of idea, just drive for as far as you possibly can in this sort of lengthy test stuff. Well, in actual fact, most of the cars aren't really good to drive. Yes, they can go a long way, but they're not much fun, so to speak. Colin says he's looking at my old pics from the car show, North 2008. Keep me sane. Post on Facebook page last night. I saw a few of your pictures, actually, 2009. Yeah, there was some lovely cars in that as well. 512 BB there was, yeah. The video with this week was great. Thank you very much. Paula Connor says hi. Frank Metcalf is in the house. Come on, Frank. Let's get motoring. You're dead right. Let's get motoring. Let's go for a drive. You know what? Tuesday is a bank holiday. I know it's like Groundhog Day at the moment, but it's a bank holiday tomorrow. Tuesday, the restrictions go to 5 kilometers from the house rather than 2. Because 5 kilometers brings in a few forests and things. I can go for a run out in the forest and go and do some bits and pieces outside rather than inside the whole time. I now have 2 phones roaring at me. What do I do? Jerry Wicklow, hi gang, just catching up on Jonathan W's latest video first. How's that guy takes bits of antique rust and creates cars from them? Is amazing. It is actually, yeah. Moav, UK is now in the top 3 number of deaths, about to beat Italy. It is unfortunate. It is. We have to stay positive about it. Fortunately, there are 7.5 billion people on Earth, and we have to get through that part as well. So there's quite a lot of people out there who are survivors and will continue moving forward. I know it's very difficult to think about, but that's just the way life is. John Carney, good afternoon, folks. Beautiful weather here in Portlaoise. It is kind of cloudy now, a bit blue, but cloudy here and there. Looking forward to today's chat. When do you think the motor industry will reopen again? 18th of May. You know, if the motor industry doesn't open shortly, someone's going to burst a blood vessel on LinkedIn for sure. I've had so many messages on LinkedIn from the car industry asking me what I heard, what's going on, what's happening. Realistically, I only kind of know as much as you guys do. I don't really know a whole lot more. And that is the problem. That is what's happening out there right now, is very, very little information is coming out about what they're supposed to do to open businesses, what is critical. I mean, the problem is there, of course, if you say that the car industry is critical, that it's critical to open dealerships, then you find someone else is going to go, well, if you can open dealerships, you can surely open whatever it is I do. You know, I think there's always going to be that tit for tat stuff. And if we carefully stage our reopening of whatever it is happening, then we'll get it right. We'll get it into a point where it'll all just push forward nice and easy, and we'll all get back to work. I think there will be a lot of fallers in this. I think the car industry, it's going to be very, very difficult to come back from a 96% drop in sales. And I would suggest the other 4% of that is sales is probably emergency vehicles. It's probably vehicles going out to the Gardaí, to health officials, health workers, frontline people, that sort of stuff. That's where because it's only 300 cars, is that 4%, something like that? So it's a tiny amount. Afternoon, all, can't hear you, but we can see you. Just go by all that audio on, audio's back, sound is back, Bob. For me, deadly, not too bad, actually. That's all right. Logitech's a fine company. Tis. It's a Logitech 9. What did I say it was earlier on? I thought everyone what it was. Logitech 925E or something. Something like that. It's a really good webcam. It's really brilliant. But I'd normally prefer to have my mic. I'm a audio nutcase. If the audio is not right, I go mental. I can't deal with it. It's really drives up the wall. There's Campervan Creations as well, another channel. He is a YouTube channel right here, another Irish YouTube channel. He's putting together a campervan, and he's also on our Discord channel. Where are we? Daza says, hello, Bob. I have a Ford Focus ST line petrol at 180,000 or 18,000 kilometers, due an oil change at 20,000 kilometers. Will it be okay to go over due to COVID-19? The car was bought in August 2018. It is, generally speaking, once a year is more what you think about when you come to servicing. They're pretty rigid about their service intervals. But generally speaking, anything within the next 5,000 kilometers after the service interval like it was on is usually pretty much okay. So you should be fine. You can always service yourself, but obviously you might be under warranty and you might not be able to do the service yourself. In other words, opening something on your own invalidates the warranty possibly. So you should be fine though for a good 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 kilometers after that. And if you're not driving much, then it's really not going to make a blind difference anyway. Donna Oates says switch off for 10 seconds and restart it. In fairness, it's such a fast machine. It boots up quicker than the Wi-Fi, or not Wi-Fi, but the solid connection down to the Wi-Fi. It boots up faster than that. It comes in and goes, there's no connection, and the thing downstairs is going, hang on, I'm getting there. Sound is fine, boss. Rob Barry, good stuff. Campervan Creations there. Tommy Turf Mold, good man. Honest Truth says, afternoon, Bob. Neil, York in England, checking in. Sounds good to me. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Honest Truth is always a nice place to be when you can be very truthful about stuff. Found some really interesting channels over the last while from the Discord thing. I'll create a list and share them out whenever I can, because there's some really good ones I didn't even know existed. I mean, YouTube is a funny algorithm. It shows you bits because it thinks you like them. That's really what YouTube tries to do all the time. It's just kind of, if you kind of are into cars, it will show you more car stuff, but you might never ever see anything useful, anything you actually want to see beyond that realm. So what's happened over the last couple of days, because of the Discord channel, people show me things I didn't even know was there. Some brilliant channels, some crime. There's an Irish crime channel. It's really good. It's a couple of 100,000 subscribers. Really good. I only found it this morning, so I'll be rooting around that one. TS says, great video on electric cars. Thanks. Well done. Thank you very much. There's one on diesel as well, if you want to watch that as well. That's got 30,000, 35,000 hits or something since last week. So that's pretty good. Is diesel dead is the question I'm asking and trying to kind of answer. I don't really answer it, but kind of answer, because actually whether diesel's dead or not is entirely up to you as the consumer, because if you demand it, you will get more of it. So if you continue saying, I want diesel, they will continue making diesel. It's a business. Car companies are not in the business of saving the environment. They're in the business of making money. The offset of that might be that they save the environment. So if they think they can get some more money from you by buying more diesel, then that's what they'll offer you. So if you want more electric, then you buy more electric and they will serve that up to you. My next video, Cross 13, thank you very much, has donated by Super Chat as well. You're very good, thank you. I never even asked that. It's very important that you make a good decision, a correct decision, because things are changing and things are changing very fast. My next video is going to be about Nikola Tesla and the relationship between him and Elon Musk. But it's actually more about Elon Musk and about what he has done to change, radically change the car industry, the whole industry. As much as the industry was laughing at him and thinking it was funny, this little small company coming along, he's absolutely torpedoed how the car industry works. And it's really good. But it's interesting, very interesting. Put it together. It'll probably be out next Friday on Patreon, maybe Thursday on Patreon this week, actually, because I want to get a head start on it. So it gets 24 hours on Patreon. If you're a patron, you get to see it first. And then it comes out on public demand on YouTube. It's always free on YouTube. So if you can't afford to donate, don't donate, okay? But just subscribe and hit if you click the little bell icon, you get a little notification whenever I put up a video. You'll see that. It's nice. Robert Berry says, new trickery. What's new trickery? It scrolled forward, but fortunately I have a scroll wheel this week, so I can actually scroll back very quickly. Isn't that brilliant? That's like modern technology. I'm already on a laptop, but a scroll pad in the front. Robert Van Zandt says, what are your thoughts on car dealers lobbying to reduce VRT to kickstart car sales? From what I understand, it's a remnant of the 70s when we joined the EU, but cute old Paddy rips us off. Well, you see, last Sunday, before the car industry came out to complain about VRT, I sat here and said what we could fix with the car companies right now would be the lower VRT. So if you say straight off the market, you're going to say 50% reduction in VRT right now to kickstart the economy, that ends in September. That's easy. That's how you do it. But we don't have leadership like that in the government. We don't have somebody who's mentally stable up there who understands how the car industry works. We don't have it. It's completely able to monitor that, to lower the VRT and do it in a staged fashion that it goes back on where it was before without changing a damn thing. Now, whether the car industry takes that as being extra profit or takes that as being lowering the cost for you to buy a car, that will come down to whether people actually buy cars or not over the next while. That's what's going to happen. We'll see as that occurs. Oh, by the way, the word Zoom down there at the bottom, that'll be gone by next week. But right now, we got the system in place today to get the Zoom logo to remove, but it doesn't go immediately. So Zoom will disappear off the bottom. But it is run through Zoom. So we run through a company called Corago, and Corago has set this up here for me, so I'm able to just put it out on Zoom and then it goes straight up to YouTube. It's really good. A lot easier to manage, I have to say, than it used to be. Mohawk looking well, says Paul O'Connor. It is getting longer and longer every day. You see that? Look at that thing. It just gets up. I'm going to try and cut it again. I might try and I can cut the sides because I actually have a mower thing, one of those shaver things for the side of your head, an actual hair cutting one. So I have one, just do the rest. Afternoon. So the 54% drop in European car sales in February, EVs reached 9.9% of sales. And the Tesla Model 3 was the second best model in Europe, just between the Volkswagen Golf and the Ford Focus. There you go, from cross. See, that's what I mean by people were looking at Tesla a few years back and going, nah, he's just, forget about him. Nice little guy there, plenty of money now, but he'll die out. We'll catch him. Guess what? Haven't got him. The only one with decent kind of battery supply and has thought about end to end. And because they got such a head start, and a massive head start, because they didn't have to make or supply or create or do anything around the ICE engines. So they don't have to support it, they don't have to warranty them, they don't have to fix them, don't do anything. So that little boost that they've got now, not saying that boost is going to last forever for Tesla and Elon Musk, but at the moment, he's making the most of it. Then again, he also torpedoes himself because the other night he tweeted that he thought the share price was too high in Tesla and lost himself 47 billion or something. Some stupid amount of money was wiped off the share price. But that's, I suppose rich people just aren't wired up like other human beings, you know. Coffee time. Irish Runner says, what computer to get? It is a PC. It's a big beast of a yoke with a CUDA core graphics card in it. It's what the hell is the graphic processor? An AMD Ryzen 5 2600, I think. Really, really good. Do you know anything about Dyson Car? MoAV says Dyson Car is finished. Dyson has backed out of making EVs. Now, still he's doing research in the battery field of things, So that's still going on. But as automated cars, as driving cars and things is gone, I think that's going to die a death. You have to remember, it costs a phenomenal amount of money to put a car on the road these days. It's not like it was in my What Killed the Electric Car to begin with, where you just went out and got a horse and cart, took the cart off, stuck the guts of a car in it, a steering wheel, and away you go. Forget even steering wheel, they used tillers and three-wheel yokes. No, so it was a mental idea. But that's the way it was years ago. Today, due to laws, safety regulations, any of that sort of stuff, nope, you can't do that sort of thing. It has to comply with a million regulations for getting near the road, and that costs a fortune. So anyone who's setting out to make cars these days just needs an endless pit of money. Don't forget how many times Elon Musk ran out of money, had to float more shares, get more stuff on the line, sleeping in factories, all that sort of stuff that was going on. That was all about money. He was running out of money regularly. Dan Whelan says, hi Bob, do you expect the SEAI grants for electric chargers to be installed at home will cease after 2020? Whoa, that's an interesting one, because the SEAI gets the grant money from the government. So in the budget, the Minister for Finance gives the SEAI some money. The SEAI donate that out when dealerships apply for it, or when you apply for it for your home use. Now, whether it's reached its peak, who knows? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think it has somehow. Without the grant, chargers are about €1,200, 1,000 to 1,200 euro, and you can get even more sophisticated ones which cost even more than that. But generally speaking, about €1,000. 600 euro that comes from the SAI. Whether it'll go down by 600 euro, people will still want electric car points, chargers in their home. It is the perfect place to have a charger. Everybody should have one. I think legislation should actually come in whereby we have to put in a home charging unit when we're building a new house. I think it should be there already. We already have something on solar panels, but what is a solar panel is a little bit risky, whether it's the tubes that heat water, which are relatively rubbish, or it's the actual cells that absorb electricity and store it somewhere. They're two different kinds of solar panels. We're both called solar panels technically. But I don't think that will, because it's quite small. The grants that are being given out are quite small and manageable. So the amount of money is not billions, so it's millions, and that's a different story entirely. But whether the SEAI is the right crowd to give it out with, that's a whole different ballgame. Dermot Walsh is here. A name I can't quite pronounce. I'm sorry. It's Abdajalabar Hussan, I think. Hi, Bob. Love you a lot. Manchester, UK. Up to Manchester. We like the Manchester people, yeah. Very big Irish community over Manchester, as always. Paul O'Connor, well done, thanks. This week's video on electric car is the best you've done in ages. Thank you very much. It could have been longer. It appeared to be finished too soon. Fabulous, though. It could have been a half an hour. If I'm dead honest with you, I could have easily done a half an hour on that. But what I actually wanted to do was I don't want to give it all into one video and then have nothing left to talk about in another video. So I want to revisit everybody's, because you notice in that video I mentioned Rudolf Diesel, who created the diesel engine, of course. He gets a mention in that video. So in the next video, Tesla will be mentioned in the same breath as Ford, because he worked with Ford and also worked with Edison at points as well. So these all people existed at the same time. A lot of these people we talk about today. So you can kind of join the dots. So this is a series of videos. So at the end of the series, there will be a sum up of the entire motor industry and how over all the years we've lost our passion for it. Generally speaking, almost all car companies that were created by people with a passion for the automobile. So Ford, even Honda, Toyota, come over to Europe, you have a Volkswagen. These people, these industries, Carl Benz and all, these were fascinated by the car industry. Come to England, Lotus, MG, Rover, they were all created by people who had a massive passion for the automobile. All of those people are wiped out. The people who are at the top of the car industry now are people who are interested in paying dividends and making money. So the passion at the top is kind of lost, and that's going to be a problem moving forward for sure. Rory O'Donnell is here. Good man. Cross 13 says Ford's wife Clara famously insisted on electric car was for her own use. She continued to drive her 1914 Detroit electric. That's true. And around 1916, 1917, somewhere in the middle of the First World War, Our range, even Baker did it as well. Another company called, an American company called Baker, made Baker Electric. They made cars and marketed them for women, right? So they were a woman's car, and they were all electric because they basically only had forward and back. That's the two gears, technically. There's nothing else to press. So they had a go pedal and a stop pedal, or they could have a handle that pushed forward and make it go faster, whichever. Like tractors. If you've ever driven a tractor, you push a handle, a lever up to make the car go. There's no accelerator pedal. So they made women's cars, technically, because women would faint, at the least excuse, mostly because of their bustles and stuff. But they for the weaker sex, they had these other cars, because petrol and diesel cars, or petrol cars particularly at the time, were really hard to drive. I've driven a Model T. If you've ever driven a Model T, it is the scariest thing. There is only 2 speeds, stopped more or less, like crawl, and then 30 miles an hour. That's your 2 speeds. There's no in between. You go first, second, off you go, and it's booting along. It's great fun to drive, but it's still, like, I can't imagine trying to, even me, as much experience I have of driving millions of different kinds of cars, sitting in a Model T or sitting in any of those kind of older, early 1900 cars is just scary beyond belief. Cars didn't look, the layout of the inside of a car became standardized nearly into the 40s before it actually became kind of standardized, with a gear stick and a handbrake over here and a steering wheel in front of you, and 3 pedals on the floor. It was you were kind of getting in near the 40s before that actually became sort of a standard feature. Peter, your cart. Hi, Bob. I hope you and family are well. We're fine. We're great. Not a bother. The wife is out running earlier on. 2 kids are playing Roblox downstairs. All is well in the world. Robert Mulhall is here. Michael D, come on the leash. Afternoon, Bob. Come on, Michael D. Another leash man. I'm actually born in Kildare, but I've been living in Laois now for the last 12, 13 years. My wife, Catherine, she's from Laois, from Clonsley. Noel Davis says, Jared is a complete gentleman. He is, certainly. Can't recommend Corago enough. There you go. See, there's another recommendation. Particularly if you're in a business and you're using Zoom like this, in this kind of situation, Jared's very good at sorting it out for groups, right? So if you've got 10 or 15 people who are looking to try and get in on all of these kind of Zoom things, get in touch with Jared, get in touch with Corago. Quick, sign up. Tell him I sent you. Hellhound, hey up, Bob and Jack, good to have you. Dermot Walsh, I'll click the like button. Good man. Everybody else should click the like button as well. 220, is that what live? No way now, look at me live stats. Oh my God, I mean, it's like, I have so much power now to do this. It's brilliant. I love it. I can flick in and out of all kinds of screens and see all kinds of stuff going on. We'll do that live. Go back over to this one. Yes, please click the like button, everybody, because all it does is just tell YouTube that this is true. Now, I have something else to shout out today as well. There is a fundraiser listed in my links on there for the Navajo and Hopi families in the US. And I know it may seem like a wild thing, but if you can donate a couple of quid, it'd be brilliant. The reason I'm asking for that is because the Navajo people, the American Indians, donated all they could to the Irish people during our famine. They were one of the very few countries anywhere in the world who donated some money and some seeds to the Irish people during our famine. And right now they're in deep trouble with their COVID-19 response. It's the Navajos in particular. So if you can give a couple of quid on their GoFundMe, it's linked down below if you want to do it. You don't have to, it'd be great, but if you could share that link out, it'd be really good. Share it with other people maybe who do want to donate money. That'd be wonderful. It's a little touch, a couple of quid towards the Navajo people. They're quiet, and I always feel sorry for the American Indians. They're not American Indians, they're just Navajo people. They're the people who own America, the rightful, actual people who were living there long before the Europeans ever turned up. So I always feel a little bit sorry for them, but they've always been generous towards Ireland in all of its troubles. Hi, Bob, have you updated your camera? The picture is lovely here. I have. Well, I haven't actually. What I've done is I've got a hard line, so I've been working really hard behind the scenes and buying little bits of equipment. So what I've done is that camera is the 925E, I think it's called, which was kind of donated by Cross 13. It's the same camera. What I've done is it's hardlined by USB directly into the back of the machine. The machine itself is now connected by Cat5 cable to my broadband, and it's running through a great big processor. So it's outputting high definition all the time. And that's really good. And it also helps that Zoom does a little bit of work in the background as well to make the connection a little bit more stable for you guys. So you can watch it and I can watch it and I can see all kinds of things happening. Deadly now. Robert Berry, no, I know. Daz Senna says, hi, Bob from the north, and how are you and the family keeping? Great. Robert Berry, there must be huge numbers of brand new cars around the world that will need to be sold. Not sure how easy it is to get your questions going. So there's plenty of cars being built, and there's plenty of car companies going back to work. Even Volkswagen, Seat, Renault, they're all kind of slowly, tentatively come back to work. Seat is testing everybody who works for Seat to see if I don't have to test them every day when they come to work, or they're going to test them whenever they can. But there's plenty of cars out there for sale. The problem is a hell of a lot of people have been put out of work. There's a lot of people who don't have a job now. And there's even more people who aren't sure that they're going back to a job now. So even if they had a job and it's closed, some of those businesses won't reopen. I guarantee you some of them cannot afford to stay closed much longer, and certainly can't run on nothing, because a lot of these bills are still coming in for these guys and there's zero income. And then some of the guys rely on stuff being brought in from overseas and deliveries coming in, and they can't get any of them either. So there's a real problem with that. Like Zdenko, hi Bob. Last time I was on was Marek's guest. Yeah, I was on Marek Drives. I was on his channel the other night as well. We were talking. It was great. It was on 7 o'clock the other night. It was really good. I really enjoyed that. Actually, it's funny. We're when all this settles down, I'm going over to Poland, and we're going to have a little video together, doing something, testing cars, crashing stuff, or something. Johnny Smith as well has promised that we're going to do something in the near future as well. So it's all coming together slowly but surely. It's funny. I've so many followers on Twitter now, which is kind of weird. So you can find me on Twitter if you want. There's loads of followers there. Some really big accounts follow me. Somebody asked me the other day. It was part of people were saying, "Show us your most famous accounts that are following you." I was really embarrassed. There's some really, really big accounts, like Top Gear, the Twitter account that follows me. BBC, I think, follows me. Matt Cooper follows me. Johnny Smith follows me. Can't remember who else there is now. Bachelor, JRR Bachelor follows me. That's the other day as well. Anyway, I made a mistake asking about Discovery, but I was thinking about new Defender. Would it be more reliable than the Land Rover lineup? No, Land Rover Defenders, none of the Land Rover, Range Rover, Jaguar has ever really been that reliable over time. The people who buy them tend to be people who can afford to have them fixed, or just don't want to know if something's going wrong with them. For years, they languished at the bottom of customer satisfaction surveys. They just so many problems. Some of the only press cars who broke down on me was a Land Rover Discovery. Okay, so it just goes, if you think you can fix it, A1, if you can't fix it, or you don't think you're going to be that capable, or you just don't have enough money, forget about it. Go buy something else. And yet, my favorite car of all time, if I won the Euromillions or the Lotto tomorrow, I'd buy a Range Rover Vogue, a great big, massive V8 monstrous yoke. Then I'd go and buy a Tesla Model 3 as well. Conor Driscoll, thank you very much. That's a name I never read out before, but thank you very much. He's given up a super chat. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. So many new subscribers, so many new names, so many new comments, millions of comments. Can't keep up with them all. Sorry if I don't answer all of your comments anymore. There is in excess of 1,000 comments a day now coming onto the channel, so I just can't. It's impossible. And even YouTube has given us new tools to look after these comments, and I still can't keep up. I don't know how massive channels do it. I really don't. I don't think they do. I think they just go on making content. Matthew Harrison, by the way, I'm answering question 2:07 p.m. So I'm about 20 minutes behind you. Matthew Harrison says, hi Bob, your thoughts on the Kia Niro hybrids? Are they okay on fuel economy in the motorway? Thanks. Being honest with you, unless there is some reason you absolutely positively need a hybrid, I would buy the Kia e-Niro or the Kia e-Soul. The reason behind that is because the Kia e-Soul is quite capable of covering, Niros makes no difference, the same range as the Kia hybrids, only you just don't have a petrol engine. It's the only difference. So think about that one for a minute. But there's nothing wrong with them. They're fine. They're okay. Motorway is okay. If you're going to be driving up and down the motorway the whole time, then maybe the hybrid, it'd be a 6 in one, half a dozen the other. Which one will give you the best value? But electricity is a lot cheaper than petrol. A lot cheaper than petrol. So chances are you get better fuel economy from the Kia e-Niro. Brian J says, Bjorn Nyland's just started his Q&A on his channel right now. Everybody wants the Sunday service. Everybody's after it. They're all trying live things. They're all trying Q&As and lives and stuff. But actually, I've been here for the last 5-6 years doing this, maybe 4 years doing this. And you know what? I don't know of anyone else who does the same thing as I do, more or less. A lot of the live streams are usually done fairly ropey. But Bjorn is okay. I don't want to subscribe to his channel because I'm a car person. I'm not really, that EV thing is just, that's okay. I see it coming at me and I'm learning about it and doing things with it. And but I have to keep my eye on what the industry's doing as well. King One-Eyed says, hi, Bob. One-eyed. Have you actually got one eye? And are you a king? That's probably the two things. Footy Ferrari, Bob, your opinion on the massive amounts of videos on YouTube that are called reviews, but don't criticize or compare the car with rivals. I find it frustrating to call review. Yeah, I know. The word review is a weird word, okay? It means different things to different people. So to review something, no matter what it is you're trying to review, you have to be able to compare it against its competition. You can't be if I gave you a brand new car and you're driving around in a 14-year-old Seat Leon like I am, you're going to think everything you just got into was brilliant. This is the best car I've ever had. This is deadly. Look, the steering is so light. The gear shift is so easy, and so on and so forth. These things start to grate on people because people who review cars for a living like me, or review things for a living, I drive, or was before last year, I probably drove about 300 cars last year, maybe 200 cars last year, something like that. Along those lines, if you start counting in refreshes and international launches and all that sort of stuff, it comes into the hundreds of cars. And that means you experience different suspension, different seats, different steering, different gearboxes, different automatic gearboxes, different infotainment systems, different everything, different tires, different suspension arms, different braking systems. And you take away that little bit with you and you carry that knowledge onto another car. And so when you sit into another car, you kind of go, right, what does this compare to? So you jump into a Fiesta and you go, this is like this, this, and this, and I've driven all of them as well. So this car is the best. You can't say a car is best if the only car you've driven is, the cars you're sitting in today, or 2 cars or 3 cars in. It takes a lot of experience to get to the point of what I have now, or what Michael Sheridan or Dave Humphreys, or what it takes experience to come up to that, or Johnny Smith, or a lot of those guys who review cars don't actually review cars all the time. A lot of them are influencers. They just hop into a car because they've been given €1,000 to go and talk about a car, and then they talk about it. Other people just don't have experience. Moav, when lifting up, but last word I'll say on reviews is that it actually makes me look good when somebody else reviews the cars and they don't know what they're talking about. It actually makes the rest of us look good, so that's okay. Moav, when lifting up the lockdown, schools and economy come first before social life. That means no gigs for over a year. Yes, possibly. Now, I have a problem with schools. So in a school, if you think of a classroom, you're basically putting 35 kids, or whatever level of people there is in a room, and an adult in a room for 8 hours a day. And I get it. If any of them have COVID-19, it spreads. And that's, as a parent, I know this because my kids will regularly come home and go, we got a note from the teacher said that someone has head lice, or someone has something else, someone has this. And it just, across the class, it spreads like a shot. So reopening schools is a scary thought, because those kids, although they may not get sick, they can very quickly spread that. And that's a problem. So schools should be very, very carefully taken about whether we should open or not. But certainly big events, big concerts, big rock concerts, or GAA grounds, or soccer matches, whatever, don't know about that now. That's going to change things for sure. Mark Turner Smith, afternoon, all feed up now, 3 hours XC training on a mountain bike done. Good man. I actually thought about getting one of those, what do you call that thing you do in the house? Scoot, no, Zoom. What the hell is it? I don't know. You get on a bicycle, you pedal, and you pedal against other people in a race. But I didn't get the time to buy the thing. You need a thing for your bike, and I need a different back wheel for the bike as well. I'd love to go back cycling, but I can't. 5 kilometers even isn't enough. Anybody who cycles regularly knows that 20 kilometers is easy. Like that's a chill cycle. 100 kilometers is an interesting cycle, Footy Ferrari, loved your chat on Marek during the week. Thank you. Marek's very good. He's a great guy. Has helped this channel as a fellow YouTuber, has really helped this channel quite a bit. He gave me a review of this channel last year, what he thought of us doing, what he is going on. Proportionally speaking, if you look at population wise, our 2 channels are about the same size. But as YouTube, of course, YouTube goes, no, that's I'm afraid that number matters more than that number, so it's okay. Stephen Hughes says, looking to get my first classic car, thinking of a 1990 E30. What would be the best model to go for? Beware, Stephen. Are you good with a set of spanners? Because BMWs are the best fun you can have on four wheels. But when they go wrong, oh boy, do they go wrong. It's usually a catastrophic thing. So there's nothing wrong with the car, and then there's everything wrong with the car. And fixing one thing breaks something else. That's how a lot of BMW, they're highly tuned, sensitive cars, but they're brilliant fun to drive. Nothing wrong with that E30 you're talking about, the 1991. Go whatever model you can get. They tend to fetch a fair whack of cash, so you're going to be bidding a bit for a clean one. Check it really carefully for underbody rust. Jack it up and get under the car. Don't leave it to chance. If you can bring it to a pit or a lift or something, get under it, because once the tin worm gets underneath them yokes, forget about it. Look in the boot for any damp. If there's any damp, walk away. And I really do mean that. Don't take a chance at this point. If the boot is damp on the inside, the carpet on the inside, or there's water underneath the carpet on the inside of it, go home. Just go home and cry into your pillow for a while, because there's just not worth buying that one. Because once that water gets in, you will never find the place that has started or where it's going to stop. It can be an awful mess of yoke. But they're very rewarding when they work very, very well, for sure. When they're working, they're beautiful. You find it lovely, window down, going for a spin in them. They're gorgeous. Coming to you now in a minute. Hi, Bob. Michael Sherlock. Government cuts VRT for petrol, diesel cars. Then this could kill the EV business. Opinion on this? Yes, it will. It will, because car companies will sell what they have in stock. This isn't because I see this mentioned regularly, that I somehow don't like EVs. I actually love EVs. I'm a huge EV fan, but I'm not a huge fan of people being ripped off. And that's the problem. That is the big problem, that you find that people are paying over the odds for what amounts to be an ordinary car. But if they cut the VRT, which by the way cuts the VRT for everything, not just for petrol and diesel, it cuts the VRT. If VRT is on every car, whichever one you want to look at, but there's a grant off the electric ones. But if they cut the VRT, it won't kill the EV market, because people are making environmental choices. People are making choices about the future of cars, so they're choosing the right way in that respect. But the thing is, it'll make petrol and diesel cars look extraordinarily cheap if they go 50% off the VRT, and the car companies actually pass that on to the end user. It will make them look very, very attractive very quickly. But you know what? A modern, this year's EU6 diesel is probably not the worst thing you could probably buy at the moment. Petrol now would be a different story. Petrol is probably higher Petrol is higher CO2 than diesel. Will be around the same NOx, a little bit less, a little bit around the same, depending on the model of car it is. And hybrids will look very attractive as well, as the other part of that. I'm sure Toyota's probably going, oh God, cut the VRT. Anyway, Eric Rochford says, enjoyed the chat on Marek's channel during the week. I hope you see a few more like that. We'll be swapping names and numbers. I will have more people on for chats on the Sunday service, but I found that the 2 weeks we did, or was it 3 weeks? No, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, where we brought other people on. They were extraordinary people, and I kind of liked that. So I kind of like this unusual bit. I had a load of offers from other people to come onto the chat, loads of dealerships and things that wanted to be on the chat, but I thought, nah, that's not, I'm not here to be a sales channel. I don't want you to sell your bleeding book or something while you're here. It's not a chat channel. We need people who actually know about cars. And I think that's what happened. Remember, Top Gear used to have star in a reasonably priced car, and some weeks that have a real proper car nut, and other weeks that have someone who's hasn't got a license, right? And then you're going, well, this is a waste of my time, isn't it? So I want to make sure this channel doesn't turn into that. So I'll be choosing carefully next time as to who will be on. I'd like Tiffany Dell. If anyone knows Tiffany Dell, well, I know Johnny Smith, so I suppose you can get know Tiffany Dell that way. But if you know Tiffany Dell, give him a buzz there. Yeah. Yankee 1983. Hi Bob, what's your opinion on the Cooper Fermentor? I haven't driven it, obviously. I'm referring to the 300 horsepower version. Is it worth waiting for? At the moment, everything is worth waiting for. There is a stack of things that will be stacking up on top of each other, research and development and stuff that's still going on in the background. Even if manufacturing shut down, a lot of research departments will still be open doing their thing. So I would, at the moment, I wouldn't foresee anyone really going back to the showrooms to buy a car that is new now until 21. you know, until January. So if you can wait for the Cupra, hold tough. It might be brilliant. It might be crap as well, though. So I can't say at the moment. Looks deadly, though, doesn't it? MoAV, Dyson plan to release their first car this year, 2020. I think Dyson killed it off 2 years ago. Was it 2 or 1 year ago? I can't remember what it was, but it was a while ago. After Brexit, Dyson moved his manufacturing out of the UK into Holland or somewhere. And at the same time, I think he just killed off that electric car dream that he was going after. So does Google, essentially. They've given up. Most of them have given up on it because it's really hard to do. Tony S. Crossbuds out of correction says, damn it, sorry, not February, March. And Tony S. says, Bob, wouldn't it be a good value for new cars already on the dealer forecourt after the lockdown? But what about trade-in values? Well, that's our big problem right now, Tony. We don't know what the trade-in value of the car, what their worth is going to be. Dealers will want to get rid of everything they've got in stock, for sure, right? I've seen Des Hughes the other day. Out the front, there must be 8, 9 CHRs and maybe 10 Corollas sitting there, and they've got homes. People will want them, you know, but he can't do it. He can't open the doors to do anything about it, so they're there. We don't really know. There's going to be a little bit of pent up angst of people who can afford to change the cars, we're ready to change the cars, but just everything shut on them. So there'll be that. But there's also so many people out there who don't have a job, who are in the middle of changing over the car, wanting to get their car changed over, and now suddenly hit this roadblock. So right now it's sort of an unknown. I would expect the market to stabilize again by September this year, and first sales really to come back towards June, July. We'll start to see that, particularly July, because that will change the license plate as well. So we'll have 202. And then going into September this year, you'll start to see a recovery happen and people go back to work. If we stage it down properly, and if we take the people who are in charge of the emergency measures up in Dublin and get rid of them, that would probably help. At the moment, that would probably help, because they are making decisions based on your safety, which is great. But at the same time, we have to get back to work. Like, it's really good if we go back to work as well. Just going to check my email, make sure I didn't miss anything belonging to you lot. I did. I missed one already, right? Who's this? Barry Loftus. Come on, Barry Loftus sent money by PayPal. You're very kind. You're all very good. You're so nice. So cool. When I stopped doing that phone. I have two phones. I have an Apple and I have an Android phone. And the Android phone is becoming slowly my favorite phone. More because I now have a PC, less Apple devices. Colin Ward. What are your views on a BMW 4 Series Grand Coupe? Good car, nice looking dog. I found a decent deal on my local dealership for 440i after losing a friend to COVID-19. I'm thinking of splashing out, but I've heard mixed reviews. I think the 4 Series, I'm sorry to hear about your friend, obviously, for COVID-19. That goes without saying. But 440i is a nice car. 4 Series Grand Coupe is probably the nicest car outside of the 6 Series Grand Coupe. And Grand Coupe is always gorgeous and will always be worth money. Get a nice warranty to go with that. Enjoy it. It's going to be a gorgeous car for you. Proper car. I'm not keen on X-Drive, but that's just a personal opinion. I think I prefer the rear wheel drive version now, but a 440i will do absolutely lovely. You'll enjoy that. Annie McAfee says, well, Funny Ferrari says everyone hit the like button, and he's right. Everybody hit the like button. Hit the like. We should make a little song like that. Hit the like button. Anyway, McAfee says Elon Musk seems to have gone off the reservation the last 2 weeks on social media. He does that. You see, this is what he does. This is what I'm studying. He is a master of marketing. A master. Even when he hasn't got a car to sell, he still markets a car that isn't even for sale yet. Masterful stuff. You'll see in the video. You'll see how he has changed the car industry forever. Lorna Edgar. Actually, a lot of the car industry is so young that they've no idea what the car industry is. They just got a job in marketing and they landed in the car industry. They could be marketing chocolate bars that still do the same job. Lorna Edgar. I love cars and stuff, but do you think that cars and stuff? Love that. I love cars and stuff. Sure, you know. Do you think more people would think twice about driving cars? We've seen that the environment has improved greatly since we're not driving as much. Yeah, and that was in my diesel video as well, in that because we don't travel as much, that the air is cleaner, I hear more bees and birds, and the environment has improved in general. And electric cars can't save the planet. They're not going to save the planet. They're an environmental disaster, just like every other car is an environmental disaster, because you're making new things, putting them into new cars, put them on the road, you have to recycle the old car, the new car goes for a while, then that has to be recycled as well. So the best, most environmental thing you can possibly do is to not drive at all, is to cycle actually, or run or walk. There are three things that are essentially almost zero environmental impact is cycling, almost zero, other than making the bike, which generally lasts, if you're careful with it, you'll get 10 years out of a bike, like more. I've had a bike since I lived in Newbridge, so it's got to be 15 years old, still downstairs. It's got a little crack in the frame, but I welded that. I got lads next door have a welder. Fix that crack fairly rapid. People will go back to normal. Humans are weird like that. We just forget about it and go, oh, wow, do you remember COVID-19 when none of us were allowed out of the house? Now let's go for a drive down to the seaside. So they will just go back to it as normal eventually. But what I would like to take away from it is our ability to fix the environment by our actions. Essentially, that's what you should be learning now, is that we fixed part of the environment by doing nothing. That's essentially what it is. Just don't go out. David Hanna says, but will there be a second-hand market crash if the government reduces VRT in new cars? You see, VRT has been charged on every car since forever. So essentially, if you reduce the VRT on new cars, then you should devalue your old stock by the same rate of VRT. And I know that sounds really bad, but that is the argument for keeping VRT going. This is why the SIMI and the AA and all these other kind of interested parties, we'll say, they strive to make sure the VRT stays where it is, because you devalue your current stock. So everything that's on the road currently has had a VRT on it. And by the way, if you export your used car, you can claim back the VRT off it. So if you take 50% off VRT off new cars, you can, if you want to, devalue old cars by 50% as well. So you could make used cars just look cheap too. And that would be a benefit, although probably a bigger benefit to the car industry if I take it beyond what the SIMI represent, or beyond new cars, and look at the used car dealerships and the used car guys out there. Probably the better thing to do is to lower the VAT rate rather than the VRT rate. So drop the VAT down to 10% or 12.5% or something on a new car, and you're still doing something for the environment. You're doing for everybody. You're doing it for all of the industry rather than just the kind of interested parties at the top of it. There won't be no, the car industry never let a market crash happen. So you're just going to put more people out of work. So no one's going to crash the market on you. But if the government don't do it right, they could feck up the market for a few years for sure. Marty O says there's a statue of Nikola Tesla in Silicon Valley that's a Wi-Fi hotspot. It's a question of Jason. Oh my God. What a brilliant, I'm sure he'd love that, in fairness to him, Nikola Tesla. He's one of those kind of strange characters throughout history that nobody really knew anything about until Tesla, the car company, appeared. Then suddenly Nikola Tesla was on top of his head. What's a Tesla? To be a Wi-Fi spot would probably suit him, because he was like an electricity in his own days. That famous picture of him sitting in a room with all the electric running around him, in his own day, he was essentially an electricity spot you could plug into. I'm sure he was static electricity, probably kill everything in sight. JV says, unfortunately, we usually buy what's more tax friendly rather than what suits our driving situation. That is correct. We do. This is about how much tax you have to pay per year is a big question in people's mind, because nobody wants to pay tax. Nobody wants to pay income tax or PRSI. I know self-employed people, like me, I'm self-employed as well. We come to the end of our tax year and it's like, oh no, how much do I owe? No, you know, it's like this weird number that just fictitiously gets pulled out of someone's hole, and that's how much money you have to owe. So when it comes to tax, people don't like paying it, even though we all have to pay it. But we don't like paying it. And if we can reduce our tax liability anywhere, and that includes the size of an engine or whatever, we'll make that choice. So hardly anyone, like I know a woman who drives a VW Up and she has 3 kids. Like, it's the most inappropriate car, but it's the cheapest tax she could get, and she doesn't want to pay any tax. So that's pretty much it. Weird, like. Christian P says, what the hell? And I'm going to turn off the notifications on that bloody phone, because it sounds like it's having it does actually sound like it's having a stroke over there. No joke. Christian P. Chose for reliability and maintenance costs. Family, 80% city, 20% external drive between two new cars, Kia Ceed Sport Wagon, 1.400 horsepower, aspirated gas. Very technically minded, this question. An old version Skoda Octavia hatchback 1 litre TSI, 80% city, 20%. You need an electric car. Being honest with you, you should get an electric car. But you're asking a question, which one of those two I would pick, and I would pick the new Skoda Octavia. No, I picked the current Skoda Octavia, 1 litre TSI. It's really economical. There's plenty of torque, plenty of good in it, but it's actually much bigger than a Kia Ceed. And you're saying family in it, so I'm assuming there's family involved, 2 or more kids. So the Skoda Octavia is the winner. Easy peasy. That was an easy choice. Keep with those choices. Robert Doyle, Bob, we are looking for a car around £2,000 for my mother. Looking into a VW Polo 1.23 cylinder 2007, 2008. Do you think it would be good for a car and tax and insurance? Well, yeah, it's a 1.2. It's going to be slightly higher in the tax bracket because of 1.2. It puts out a little bit more CO2. If you get it in a 2008 model, you're in the new tax system. If you get it in a 2007 model, you're in the old tax system. Work out which one's cheaper. One of the two will be cheaper than the other, right? Chances are the 2007 tax might be even slightly cheaper. But it's a good car, easy to work on. 1.2 cylinder, 3-cylinder one is really easy to work on. Change the spark plugs yourself, air filters easy, drop the oil out to the bottom, real straightforward stuff. Not hard to look after. Check that the gearbox linkage is still okay, that it's able to go in and out of each of the gears individually easily. So it pops back up to the center. A lot of people don't do that. So when you go into neutral and you flip it from side to side, the gear stick should pop back to middle. When you push it all the way over to the left and let it go, it should go back up to the center. And then you should be able to push in and out of gears with the clutch in, obviously. Push in and out of gears easily. It's a good sign to say that the gearbox linkage is all working properly. And there's no problem. If it just falls over to one side or it resists going into a gear, apart from first, a lot of cars don't like going into first, but if it's resisting going into gears, then try and avoid those kind of cars because that gearbox is going to give trouble over time. Or the clutch is not working, or the clutch plates aren't separating, or something's happening in that gearbox that's not letting you choose a gear. But really, a gear stick tells you an awful lot about how a car behaves, its condition, because gears are something that invisibly wear out. Over time, it happens over a long period of time before the gears are worn out properly. So it can be a tricky one to detect, but once you've detected it, you'll see very easily that there's a problem there. David Hanna says, love what you do, Bob. Thanks very much. I'm enjoying your short videos, also very interesting for us, so thank you. No problem at all. It will eventually be a series of videos, not just a short video. I don't like to do the long videos. To keep people watching, the problem is watch time. YouTube watch time is a big issue at the moment because YouTube, if the more of a single video you watch, the more weight YouTube give that video in the future. So if you make a 10-minute video, people watch 75% of that video, they give it more weight than someone who has a 10-minute video and know people only watch 4 minutes of it, right? Even if one video is better than the other, it doesn't matter to YouTube. It's irrelevant. They just don't present it to people if it's not being watched fully. So I could have made a half hour out of my Ford Edison video, but I thought a half hour, who's got a half? I know people have a half hour now, but in a few weeks' time, people probably don't have as much time. So I want to make sure everyone gets the benefit from it, enjoys it, and I get to have a second bite of that cherry because that story continues into the First World War as to what Ford did during the First World War. That's the big question. You can look it up for yourself, to be honest with you. Look up what Ford did to help the war effort in Europe and what he provided to that and how quickly he switched from even thinking about electric to going, hold up a second, they need trucks and vans and delivery things. Because remember, the First World War was almost done entirely with horses. Horses were treated incredibly poorly, beaten to death on the battlefield and blown up and shot. So like cars and tanks saved horses, essentially. So those little videos, that will continue. That historical look at life in the motor industry will continue. Cross 13 says, VRT is our own creation from the 1990s. His Bertie Ahern and his cronies in Fianna Fáil created VRT as a protectionist measure to protect the car industry of the time, who were losing out to UK imports. It's the gas. The same thing comes up over and over again. Oh, we're losing out to UK imports. Oh no, we have to do something. So we hit you with a tax, VRT tax. In fact, the EU Commission is not a fan of Ireland and has been sued several times for applying the tax in unfair and arbitrary manner. The only reason the VRT can exist because it's vehicle registration tax. So if you want and an Irish reg plate on your car, you have to pay the VRT to get the Irish reg plate. But the law is you must have an Irish reg plate on your car. So if you want a reg plate, you can have VRT, but you must have VRT done because reg plates. So it is an entirely illegal tax, entirely. And I'm totally against it and have been against it since the very beginning. And I've been very vocal about it. I've asked multiple different organizations about what they're doing about VRT, and none of them are going to do anything for you because they protect what they want to protect, and they're lobbyist groups, and they work, and it creates a gigantic amount of tax for Ireland, and the government don't want to lose it. The tax office don't want to lose it either. Eugene Hogan, temporary lowering of VRT will put many secondhand dealers out of business. Yes, you're right. It won't put them out of business, but it will certainly change the systems out there, unless VRT is lowered for secondhand cars as well, or the government lower VAT. That would also help. You can imagine if you didn't have to pay VAT, or you didn't have to pay a reduced amount of VAT on the cars, you could recycle the VAT back into your business. You could claim back the VAT on the car sales. You could, there's lots of things you can do around the VAT system that would make it simple for you. TS, I watched a film called The Current War. It's about Edison and Westinghouse battle for supremacy to provide electric for the US, and also features Nikola Tesla. Recommended. That's probably worth a shot, all right? Joining the dots up is always interesting. Actually, speaking of joining the dots, what do you call him? Has been banned off YouTube. He was mentioned last week, a conspiracy theory guy. He's gone off YouTube, but his channel has been deleted. And I suppose I'm not in favor of that. I'm actually in favor of everybody having a voice, because that's essentially what happened during the Second World War when they burned books. Was they just burned the books that didn't match what they said was right. And that's what they did. That's how they did it. They got rid of history by burning all the books, and they kept the books that told the story the way they wanted to tell it. And that's exactly what we're doing now. This censorship system that's come in because someone is talking against reality, or because someone's not towing the party line, and then they just get deleted. I'm not a big fan of that. I think people should be left alone. I like to be people where you can see them. If you can see them, you can debate them. If you can't see them, they're still what they were 5 minutes ago, but they're causing havoc everywhere. So I'm not a great fan of that kind of censorship, that kind of, COVID-19 is real and 5G can't kill you, so you're going to have to be deleted because you don't agree with that. It's just not right, I don't think. Anyway, Alan Burke, hi Bob. Is the Honda Civic a low-seated drive like the Mazda 6? Yeah, it is. Actually, the Civic would be, the modern Civic, the current Civic, would feel actually quite a little bit lower than the Mazda 6 for a seating position. But it does have quite a bit of lift in the pump, so you can pump it up quite high. It's got height adjustment on the seat, but you do sit down into the wings on the back. Good support on the Mazda 6 seats. Lateral support, I often find that lacking in cars. Your back will swim about in the car, but your arse is there where it is. But the Civic is a little bit more sporty, I think, and you do sit a bit lower in it, or feels that way. Paul B, hi Bob, hope all as well as you, Tiz. How about the future for the Far Side reviewing vintage cars? Just a thought, just let folks in contact you and let do a little review and spin. I certainly would, and I have reviewed users' cars before, for sure. Now, the problem with that is insurance is always a big issue in Ireland and England and everywhere. This is something we talked about on Marek's channel the other day as well. Classic cars can be a little bit different, or vintage cars can be even more different, because the vintage insurance comes into play. But a lot of vintage car owners are quite precious about their cars, and unless you have phenomenal cover insurance, they won't give you a spin it. And rightly so, they've put their life into the thing. They've been playing about it. But if you've got a vintage car, a classic car, and you'd like to have a video of it, get in touch, see what I can do. We'll talk it over, maybe have you in the video. Byron's here. VRT lowering will only help the petrol diesel cars. More second-hand old cars won't affect the electric vehicle sales and industry. Well, you say that, but the problem is there's very short supply in electric. Car companies have quite a bit of diesel and petrol in stock. And it's not that VRT, the thing, we're not trying to help sales. We're trying to save the car industry and dealerships. You're talking about 30,000 people directly employed by dealerships in this country, okay? And a lot of those dealerships can't open again. Right now they're closed, but they're still paying their staff, still doing all this they're supposed to be doing. And when they reopen, there's a pile of people who won't be able to buy a car because they won't have enough money. So we're trying to put it in a position whereby the car dealerships are saved. And those jobs, it's those jobs. That's all I care about. I don't really care about dealerships or otherwise, or car sales, or trying to get into the charts or being the top selling car in the country. I'm more concerned about the individuals who've spent their life working in the car industry and want to continue doing it and have made a living out of it and support their family and pay their bills and their mortgage. And the young people who are trying to get into the car industry, who are joining it and becoming mechanics, and those people have to be protected as well. We can't just go, no, look, forget about it. That's not going to happen. Because I guarantee you, when the pubs open, they're going to look for tax relief as well. And they're probably going to get it, because that's exactly what happened in 2010, something like that, when the Vintners Federation and the Restaurant Association got together and got their VAT lowered down to 12.5%. They did it. I don't see why the car industry can't do it. Billy McGregor, car dealers urgently want to open back up, correct? But what they are opening back up to, God knows, this is the problem, Billy. Very few going to spend big sum on new car with this much uncertainty. The PCP bubble may also be about to burst. I predicted PCP bubble bursting about 2 years ago. There is billions out there in PCP at the moment. And do you know that, Pete? Like the likes of Volkswagen Bank and Renault Bank aren't just Irish, they're international banks. Volkswagen Bank is a German bank and has been lending money like any other bank to people in Germany and people in other countries. So the big problem is there a financial bubble that's after happening in the background that we don't know about? Is there people defaulting on payments all over the place? This could happen again, and that could put us in a whole different position. I'm still not a big fan of PCP. It is a great way for people to get cars, great way for people to get started into cars, for sure. But the problem is the vast majority of sales are now in PCP, and that is a scary place to be. I used to give a talk a long time ago about business and how business runs and stuff. One of the parts of that talk was there's a farmer friend of mine that I knew very well and was put out of business. And what he was put out of business by was, I don't want to say the name, a very big retailer came to him, right? So he's a farmer and he's making different kinds of vegetables, right? And he has 20 people he supplies, local business, big business, small business. And then a very big contract comes at him from an incredibly big retailer. And they say, we want to take all of your cabbages, right? And we're going to pay you €2 a head. That's great. It's fabulous, lovely, yeah, deadly. So he sells all his cabbage to this one company and then no longer has cabbage to deliver to anybody else. And all of a sudden, they don't want to deal with him anymore because he let them down. He had no more cabbage now, right? So the big company comes back and says, we only want to take half your cabbage. We're only going to give you 50 cents a head. What to do with the other half of the cabbage? Right? So you got this supply problem that's happening along with PCP that's happening in the background. So people are trying to get the best deal that they possibly can. If you keep lending out everything, you keep taking it all back and you're not delivering stuff, eventually people forget about you. And that's what's happening with the car industry right now, is that people are forgetting about cars. They have them outside their door, but they're not really driving them. This problem is going to continue to exist for a long time yet. VW fan says, Bob, is it true that you can save up your 2 kilometers each day for a week and head out for a good old Sunday drive? I'll ask the guard from Stop just to clarify. Tell him I sent you. Tell him Bob Flavin said it was okay for me to go for a drive once. I didn't go further than 2 kilometers from my house in the car. But 2 kilometers in a circle is 12 kilometers. If you drive around the perimeter of 2 kilometers, 12 kilometers. Just so you know. Camper Van Creator says, Bob, is the future of electric car the hydrogen fuel cell? No. I don't foresee hydrogen having a good future at all, to be honest with you. It's really expensive to make. It's not terribly environmentally friendly, really making it. And the cars that they're putting in aren't very efficient. 200 to 300 kilometers on a full tank of hydrogen fuel is kind of the numbers that are being reported. That's not good, even if you can fill it up again in 10 minutes. Doesn't matter, or 5 minutes, or 2 minutes, or a minute and a half, whatever it is, splash. The only way hydrogen, there's 2 ways hydrogen can work. One is it goes into commercials. So trucks and buses and big equipment go hydrogen, or even, all that probably wouldn't work, is like big ferries or car ferries or whatever it is. Those kind of big things out there, they go hydrogen. Or all of the car companies say, we're going to go hydrogen. Here is a gigantic wad of cash, go research it. I don't know if that's going to really ever happen, to be honest with you, because we've gone so far down the electric car route, and electric is just so efficient. I sat through a meeting yesterday, a Zoom meeting, actually, in fairness, I can't remember the guy's name, a Scottish chap, was very interesting. He was talking about, he works for Tesla in the battery department. He was talking about how much cobalt is going to be taken out of batteries and all these different experiments that are happening in the background and all coming together at once. It's very exciting what's going to happen in electric cars and battery technology, particularly in the near future. It's still not a panacea. In fact, I still don't think that electric cars can actually fill every need at the moment, but we're getting there. Slowly but surely we get there. But hydrogen, I don't think we're going to ever see hydrogen as a standard thing that we do all the time for ourselves. It's very weird talking in this room. I still find it a little bit strange talking to a very big screen in front of me. It's like I'm talking to myself. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. It's Eric Washington, good stuff. I'm talking about 2:20 p.m. So I'm about a half an hour behind you. No, I'm 40 minutes behind you. Sorry. Mini eggs. Hi, Bob. Great EV video. Thanks very much. Have you ever tried aftermarket sound insulating floor mats? Do they make much of a difference? Yes, they do. And yes, I have. I used to work in Newbridge Auto Parts. If anyone's McLaughlin's in Newbridge, I was the parts manager in the Newbridge Auto Parts. And I can remember those kind of sound deadening pads coming out in an aftermarket sense, and I thought it was stupid. So I put it in with Carina. You can do it two ways. You can kind of put it in as a floor mat under your floor mats, or you can actually lift the whole carpet and put it under the floor. The trick is to try and get as much of it between you and the wheel arches as the wheel arches actually cause most of the noise in the car because the wheels are consistently turning it. And often wheel arches intrude ever so slightly into the cabin in the front and back. So any of that kind of sound deadening stuff actually works very, very well. And I'm actually getting some sound deadening stuff for the wall here. There's a big mat you can buy for the wall just to kind of take the edge off that echo. Goes back to the wall for me. So yeah, they do make a fairly big difference. The biggest difference you can make to sound in your car is your tires, by the way. If you get tires that are quieter, they tend to be a bit more expensive. If you get tires that are quieter, you will definitely make a big difference to the sound in your car. Cross 13 says Baker used Edison's nickel iron cells. It wasn't very efficient, though, was it? Well, from what I looked at, Edison's batteries weren't deadly for electric cars. He may have improved them later on for Baker Stage, or may have. I didn't really go much beyond at that point at the moment, and I got distracted and had to finish what I had. So I didn't really look much beyond where Edison and Ford had done their hookup. Baker was a little bit later and probably kept it going a bit longer. I probably would have been more famous with the group because people like Jay Leno has still collected a Baker electric car right now. And has it in his collection. And there's a few of them out there. There's actually a few. I got tweeted a picture today of a man here in Ireland who has an electric car from 1904 or 5 or something. Interesting looking machine. I'll get in touch with him eventually. Brian O'Donnell is here. Cross 13. Chrysler was the first of a kind to standardize the current layout of controls in cars. In a modern sense, they were, but there's actually a UK car that would have been not intentionally, I don't think, but it would have been the first one to have a clutch, brake, and accelerator in that order. A gear stick and a steering wheel. I can't remember the name of the car. Not terrible. It's not a midget, but I think it might be. I think it might be an MG something, but it's not a midget. But Chrysler was the first one to make a car and say this is what we're doing as a standard thing, and everybody went, yeah, okay, and just did it. Another good question was asked the other day, and the footage I was showing from New York at the time was 1903. I think the footage I got was. A brilliant fella had improved it and turned it into 60 frames a second, so it looks really smooth, brilliant. But the question that came out was kind of funny actually at the time, because he said some people are on the right-hand side of the car, some people are on the left-hand side of the car, and everyone just seems to be driving everywhere. Where's the side of the road? The side of the laws we have now that govern the side of the road, roundabouts, direction of traffic, turning signals, traffic lights, all that stuff, that probably happened in the last 70 years. Before that, particularly in America, up until about 1910, there was no laws. You just went wherever you wanted, which is like chaos. It works, but the road deaths were huge. Not just people crashing cars, but people being killed in the street, pedestrians walking on the street. It's actually in the footage. You watch the video again, you go to the footage. I think the footage is San Francisco. It's a tram going up the middle of the road in San Francisco, and it's really good. But in that footage, I show a guy who's jumping one side of the car pulled out in front of him. It's just chaos. I'd say it was mental. Robert Doyle, Mo SH. Do you think this is the best time to buy a car from the UK? No, probably not. Although your man who advertises on my channel the whole time flipping cars, he's on every time I look at my channel, this guy with the tattoos down the back of his arm seems very nice and all, but he just looks like a guy who wouldn't take no for an answer. He's probably willing to sell you cars right now from the UK, flipping cars. I don't know him. I know nothing about him other than he puts ads on my videos. Operator Hoot, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Robert Doyle, wasn't that hilarious? Donald Trump asking a scientist to press at a press meeting about shooting disinfectant to body. What a numpty. Well, you see, that's the spin that's after happening since he said it. Now, I know what he said was actually thick, but if you listen back to what he was saying, he was talking about disinfectant. He was saying that disinfectant can kill COVID-19 on contact, and this is absolutely true. And he said we might talk about putting it inside, which sounds thick, and we all think about drinking Domestos, which is what a disinfectant is. But he kind of, in his own little stupid way, I don't know if he actually just stops to think for a second. I don't think he does. I think his brain just engages his mouth and he just keeps talking and just keeps going until there's nothing left to say. It's kind of funny. He's kind of funny, but it wouldn't be as funny because he is the president of the United States. Probably not as funny. Jonathan A. Newton, hi from Bulgaria. Hello, Bulgaria. I was in Bulgaria once, landed there once coming back from Athens. This is 1997, I'd say. And all the big brimmed hats and Kalishnikovs were in the airport. All the sort of a communist at the time. Was amazing country. And I had Bulgarian levs, which was your currency at the time. I had £5 sterling, and I wanted to get Bulgarian levs, which was worth 25 million Bulgarian levs or something. The woman gave me back this stack of cash that I had to try and put in different pockets. I could have bought a house. Mental. £5 sterling is all I had to get some money. But then a coffee was like 12,000 levs. Anyway, it was a great country time. I really enjoyed it. It was brilliant. Jonathan Grady, I own and run one of the largest new and used van centres in Ireland, but don't know what I'm facing in a week's time. First priority is to offer even better value than usual and help to get other companies back. That should always be the value right now is what we need right now is value for the customer. I think customers will come back if they think they're getting a deal or a bargain or something out of it. I think the problem is right now you're going to have to take a long-term view on whether you can make profit in the next 6 months, not your sales figures month to month to month. That's great. Yes, sure. Look at your sales figures month to month, but profit margins, I think if you can just tick over for a couple of months, we'll settle this out and we'll try and get back into normal, try and get back into some sort of normality because realistically, it's not really the government's fault. It's COVID-19, but I think there's an element now of pent-up anger of people wanting to get back to normal. People want to get back to kind of, come on, I want to get out and do things. And the same applies for business. Business want to get back to doing business, and precautions in place. Really, we can have sterilization systems on cars. We can have foot baths if we need it. We can have, to take shoes, or we can provide gloves to people, provide masks to people who come into dealerships. We can do, that's all possible. We know how it transmits. We know how it operates. We're capable of getting in and out of Aldi every day. I spoke to the staff in Aldi Portlaoise. Not one of them have gone sick with COVID-19 since it started. And they're at the front, they're dealing with people every day. So surely dealerships can get back to normal. Surely at this stage, we can start lifting some restrictions on business, on getting back to work. Johnny Newton, most restrictions being lifted here in Bulgaria next week. Yeah, the horses for courses. Some countries are lifting restrictions much quicker than others. So we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out eventually. TS, if you test the new Defender, Bob, you will want one, even if the reliability issues are reckoned. I'm sure I will. I have no objection. I think Land Rover and Range Rover and Jaguar make some of the finest cars on earth. Their chief designer is even a cool dude. Too cool, but he's cool. He's a cool guy. I spoke to him. He's nice. He used to holiday in Kerry and call me Paddy, but that's okay. But the cars, the reliability issues, the lack of service, the lack of help for people who are looking for stuff. Look at this. It's my daily delivery, Sunday delivery from the wife of a cup of coffee in what do you call them? That's the Minions cup. Woohoo! There you go. A cup of coffee to get us in through the last 45 minutes. It's always nice. Thank you. Yeah, Jaguar Land Rover, they make gorgeous, beautiful cars. Some of my favorite machines in the world are Jaguar Land Rovers and Range Rovers. But unless you can afford them, unless you've got the deep pockets of a Land Rover owner, I never recommend you buying them. They are out there, exclusive sort of stuff. And if you're buying them used or secondhand or whatever, it can get really expensive really fast. So anyway, Face says, only just noticed a jump in subs and channel. Congrats. Yeah, nearly 50,000 now, getting up there very quickly. 46.5, nearly. Actually, today I think it was more like 47,000, just about. The numbers you see on the screen tend to lag behind the real numbers. YouTube don't give you really numbers a whole lot until they've confirmed the views and the subs and all that sort of stuff. So it can take a while. Wizard Dawn says, hi Bob, is Johnny Smith still working with Fully Charged? I haven't seen him on in a while. No, he fell out with Fully Charged. He won't actually say what really happened. There was a falling out at some point between himself and Bobby Llewellyn, as Robert Llewellyn wanted to take the channel this way, and Johnny wanted to go a little bit more that direction, and wanted to do more realistic. I find Fully Charged, the lack of critical thinking in Fully Charged is always going to hold it back, I think. I really do think. I think there's a lack of proper criticism. Everything is wonderful on Fully Charged. Everything Bobby Llewellyn does, every trip he goes on, and I've met him a couple of times, but every trip he goes on, everything he does, it's always, oh, wow, of course, that's obviously the way it should be. It's brilliant. That's fantastic. That's wonderful. Look at this thing. And there's no moment of going, hang on a second, that's never going to work. Or how much is that going to cost? Or when are we going to see this on the market even? You know, that kind of question stuff that a proper journalist asks. And I know he's after getting in, your man from Top Gear who works for Auto Express as well. I don't think that's going to change. I think Llewellyn is very carefully watching his sponsorship and the sponsorship of the channel and the patron of the channel and the sponsorships that are coming in from companies, and that's what he's after. And that's feathering your own nest. That's okay. I'm okay with that. That's just business. But some of that business they do on that channel, I feel in the background of it that there's a little bit of misleading people or giving the illusion that it's all very easy. Oh, this is just easy. These people with ICE engines should just shut the factories and forget about them. Shut the factories and don't make any more ICE engines. Should we just stick, 150, 200,000 people on the unemployment line? It'll be fine. Think about it for a minute. Carlos Morera says, when is the VW ID3 coming out? How long is a piece of string? As soon as that owl safety, the software issues are fixed, I'm sure they'll have it on the market. It was supposed to be here already. It should have been April, I think, this year. Deliveries would have started, but now it looks like September, October, maybe 2021. There seems to be some gargantuan software issue that they can't get over. And I find, in fairness, like I have Passat out there, and I find that the radio takes a long time to come on. I don't know why this is. You turn it on, you're driving along, and sometimes the radio will just pop straight onto lyric or whatever. Other times you're at the shop and it sparks up. It's like there's some sort of an error in them. So I'm sure the software is more than the infotainment system. I'd say it's more to do with running it, but it's definitely a problem with them. But I don't know when we're going to see ID3 actually on the market come in the way it is. Yeah, if you look for Car Pervert is what he's actually called on YouTube, and I think he's Car Pervert on Twitter as well, Johnny. And then there's Johnny Car Pervert on Instagram. He's all over the place. He gave me a great retweet yesterday. I have to say, if you're watching, thanks. It was a brilliant retweet for my electric car video that I put out. God, when did I put that out? Saturday. I think Saturday it went out. And it's flying along. Very happy with that one, I have to say. Where are we? Are we miles away? 15:21 is the time, and I'm answering questions from... I'm going back up the list now. Hold on a minute. Hold on. I have to go back up here. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm still finding. There's a gazillion questions. How in the name of God have I missed all that? I'm going to rattle through a pile of these now. Hold on. Here we go. We're going to rattle through them. You ready? Got to catch up because I'm answering questions from 2:35 and I'm like nearly an hour behind you. Right, let's do this. Johnny Newton. It's going to be a few years until e-cars catch on in BG. Where's BG? Bulgaria. So there are a few charging points and some people still driving in Soviet motors. I love Soviet motors. I think they're gorgeous looking things. It will take many, many, many years for e-cars to catch on across the world. There are still very large chunks of the southern hemisphere who don't have electricity going to their house, let alone going to charge an electric car. If you've ever watched videos of Bald and Bankrupt, that's a good channel. He does travel things through Soviet Union. He's been in various other places. Well, some of the places he goes through, you can quite clearly see they have nothing, and there's not a hope of them ever having an electric car. So we are a good few years away from total coverage across the world. But that said, I met a man a couple of years back or last year in Tesla Dublin who had driven his Model S from Ireland to Turkey. Was it Turkey? Can't remember if it was Turkey, but somewhere in Africa anyway. He drove this Model S, trailing leads over walls to plug into things and all that sort of stuff. He tells a great story about it. It's really good. I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. Tia says, now that Tiff is gone, Bob, there is an empty chair available in fifth gear. Ask Johnny Smith for a favor. I don't know. I think, you know what? I'm not sure TV will allow me be me. I think I might be too blunt for television, because once you get into the TV circles, you have to answer to advertisers and you have to answer to people, you know, you're answering to producers and stuff. And I know I've done things for AXA and I've done things for other insurance companies and bits, you know, I've done these kind of sponsored stuff, nothing to do with here, not telling people how great cars are, but you know, you still have to do stuff to put bread on the table. So the minute you sit in, you get all these little people who are telling you can't say that and you can't say this and you can't say something else. And I'm not sure it'll work for me in that respect. I don't know. Maybe it would. I don't know. I haven't really done television, so I don't know. It's never really been my destination. And I see a million comments on the YouTube video from yesterday, which is the one with the electric car thing. And like, they're all going, you should have your own TV show. BBC should snap you up, or RTE should take you on. You kind of go, that's never been the deal. The deal is, if the video out here, you get to watch it for free and a couple of ads playing it, but other than that, that's it. That's the only deal breaker for the whole thing. And of course, your support is always welcome. So if you want to support Super Chat, PayPal, Patreon, any of those things, you can give £2 a month over on Patreon if you want to support them that way. It's a tiny amount of money, but it helps. You can see the improvements over the last couple of months, see the rise of the videos, the lights, the new computer. You know, this is all part of how your support works. And of course, the support comes in from the sponsors as well, like Clearwater.ie and Corago, who's also sponsored, helping with this thing with the zoom factor, being able to pull out and stuff. It's really good. Matthew Todd, hi Bob, loving your work as always. Thank you. I'm a musician, so it's tough times for the likes of us and for the foreseeable. My question is about cars sitting doing nothing for long periods. How long can you continued? I thought you called me a name there for a minute. How long can you safely leave a petrol or hybrid without there being a risk for it not to start? The thing, or is that a thing in the past? We have our second baby due very soon. It's quite important. Okay, so what happens to a car when it's left standing still for a long period of time? The very first thing that happens is the battery goes flat. Not talking about battery cars, I'm talking about ordinary petrol diesel cars with a 12-volt battery in it. But on the flip side of that, electric cars also have a 12-volt battery in them. That can also go flat. That is charged by the charging system of the car. So you've got two batteries in the car. The battery unit underneath the floor probably won't go flat. Just plug in an electric car. Leave it. It'll be fine. The car will pull energy as it wants and do whatever it's doing anyway. But for petrol and diesel car, you should start them once a week at maximum. The outside maximum, start them once every 2 weeks. Okay, so a 2-week holiday. You go to the airport, you park a car, leave it there for 2 weeks. It starts when you come back, right? Easy peasy. But after the second week, the battery will continue to drain as the immobilizer is working, as there's other electronic systems that heat up and cool down under the bonnet that are all drawn from the 12 volts. So the 12 volt will eventually go flat. So you want to start your car once every 2 weeks, and you should, if you can, drive around your estate or drive out to 2 kilometers, drive to the shops, do something just to rotate the tires. The tires will eventually go flat at the bottom if they're left alone for long enough. So definitely don't leave it a month. Once every 2 weeks, start would be really good. Garrett Hussey is a very generous person. Thank you very much, Garrett. I like your sunglasses. Really good. That's a good picture, actually. First. Right, just check, make sure I haven't missed anything else on my PayPal or Pay. I have missed PayPal. I'm sorry. I will catch up with you. John Coleman, as always, John, you are one of the best supporters of this channel. You're very kind. Thank you very much. And Barry Loftus, you're very kind. All of you are so kind. You're very kind. I like you. We'll keep you lot. You're nice. Sean McCabe is here. Footy Ferrari says, I remember telling you stories in the past about car launches that were good crack. Do you miss launches during lockdown? No, not really. They're a lot of work. They can be great crack, but they're only great crack for 2 or 3 hours. The rest of it is work. The rest of it is up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Red eye flight to wherever it is the red eye flight is taking you to. Get off. Get in. Go to an airport lounge or something, and some guy tells you, this is our car. It's the best car in the absolute world. Here's the changes. Here's the thing. You're going to do this. Then show you a map and go, you're going to drive 500 kilometers up there and back down there. You're going to go to that hotel. Jump in a car, woof up the road. Try and figure out what you're looking at, what it is, what's different, what can you talk about, what's the story. Halfway point, bit of lunch, sit down, try and mull over what you're going to say to a camera. Back in the car, set up the cameras, talk for 20 minutes, half an hour, film the exterior, argue with some guy in a different language about trying to get footage from his drone, change the car, drive back down to the hotel, sit inside and worry about the fact you didn't film enough. And then you go to a press conference where they tell you stuff you didn't know when you were filming in the first place. Then you go and have 2 pints and you're wrecked. You go to bed, you get up the next morning, you get back on the plane, you fly home. That's essentially what we make it look good. And if you look at my Instagram or you look at any of us, any of the journalists out there who go on international trips, you will see, wow, look at the hotel, look at the thing. But you know what? It's 20 minutes. Most of the time we're trying to get some exercise or go for a run or eat something that isn't going to make you 16 stone. You know, it's that kind of stuff you're after. So no, I don't really miss them. I miss the work. I miss the cutting edge. I miss talking to the engineers and trying to figure out where life is going, where the car industry is working from, what their thoughts is on stuff, and getting drunk with some random dude over his design of a car and find out later on that he's absolutely brilliant designer and very famous and didn't realize he was. That's happened. Anyway, Fee says the Mark IV Octavia VRS should be out then too. Sure, yeah, it should actually. Jason Cave says, hi Bob, keeping up the excellent info videos, live chat with Hubnut maybe. I only found you know what? Someone said that to me a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to find in Hubnut. So I've been sort of binging his stuff for the last while. He's in New Zealand or something, near Australia. But of course I would. If anyone knows to reach out to him, I don't actually know him, but of course I'd have a chat to him, but I don't know him. So it wouldn't be the same, like myself and Johnny chatting. I'd met Johnny before. I've met him on trips and things. So we've chatted in the past. So I was kind of aware of the personality. You know, you become aware. And plus, he's a TV or how would I say, a professional camera talker. I like those kind of people. They're very easy to talk to on camera. So is Marek. We're professional camera talkers. So you point a camera at us, we'll just chat away to you like you're a best friend. And that's the way a lot of camera talkers are for live chats. Marek has been a radio presenter as well in the past. I do it too, so we're pretty good at that. But yeah, I'd chat with anybody. I don't care who they are. Paul O'Connor, Jonathan O'Grady, what's your dealership? Sunday service clients may be able to support you there in the market. There you go. Shout out, Paul, Jonathan O'Grady. List up your dealership there. We'll see what we can do for you. Peter says, hi Bob, I was thinking about getting a Renault Twingo Mark 1 for my holiday home in Spain. I've driven on what you thought of it. It's not a bad joke, actually. The modern Twingo you're talking about, the one with the rear wheel drive and the engine in the back of it all, it's actually not a bad joke. Didn't sell a button here in Ireland, but not a bad little car. Good fun to drive. And all of them, throughout all of their lives, all those old Renaults were actually pretty good because it's a holiday home thing. You don't care anyway. But you still want something safe, though, around your holiday home. Often holiday home crashes are bigger than others. Mark Turner Smith, you are thinking the Zwift, that's the yoke, Zwift, which is you compete against other people on your bike. Done with a smart enabled indoor spin trainers, and you remove the back wheel and put the bike on, all including suitable training, but £1,500 to start. Right, you can keep that. Forget about it. Just go for a cycle. Not spending £1,500 on a cycle machine. Wouldn't even fit in the bleeding room. There's no room. Derek Mead, Bob, I haven't driven my car since March. Would it be worth contacting my insurance company to ask about a refund or a payment break is not being used? Thanks. That would be really good. I'm not sure how they're feeling at the moment. They're supposed to start refunding people a certain amount of money. But by my reckoning, that refund would probably be about 15 or 20 euro. It's not going to be a lot. But you can't. The problem is insurance companies are a cartel in this country. They are a cartel. Without a shadow of a doubt, And I'm calling it now because every time the insurance goes up on one, it goes up on the other. It goes up and down at the same rate. You got the AA put out press releases going, insurance companies are charging too much money for insurance. And you go, hang on a second, you're an insurance company. You're charging that much money? Nobody seems to call them to heel at any point. Nobody seems to be making any rules or regulations around them. I would suggest that the government should step in instantaneously. And if your mileage, you record your mileage beginning at the end, and we get a refund for that basic amount, you are paying monthly. A lot of people are paying their insurance by direct debit. Surely, if you're paying monthly, that is a 12-month plan. You could take 3 months off of that plan, right? But are you insured? Did you have a crash during that 3 months? You know, that's the other question at that end of it. But certainly, it'd be worth contacting your insurance company and talking over with them. See what they say. Eric Watcher says, are you still getting cars dropped to your house from different manufacturers? I have a few now. Yeah. And next week, another one's going to join them. But I can't film them. I can only go to a bleeding car park. I can't drive around and fly drones and things. It's just, we'll see. I'll come up with some sort of solution and all the videos come out next week. These information historical videos are taking precedence at the moment. Irish Foxhound, if a dealer has X cars sitting on the forecourt waiting for their customers, would the extra time sitting weaken the seals, etc., or does someone go into the showrooms and warm up the engines? I doubt very much anyone goes into the showrooms to do anything with the engines. Wouldn't really, unless the car is standing outside in the rain, and even then you could leave a brand new car in the rain for 6 months and, you know, a mechanic will get that going. Just disconnect the battery. If you're going to leave a car standing still forever, disconnect the battery and take the tires off the ground because the tires rot. Mark Turner Smith, it's great fun to have Zwift as the subscription based and you race in a virtual world against anyone on your regular road or mountain bike. I'm sure it's full of cheats. John LaGreta says, hi Paul, it's Munster Van Centre in Care, built the business from scratch last recession. Right, everybody go to Munster Van Centre in Care. Either go there or go on the website and see what kind of stuff is in stock. Jonathan O'Grady, who has a YouTube account here, who's answering stuff, is the owner. So there you go. Welcome, Jonathan. Give me an email after and we'll get in touch with you and see if we can do something for you as well. Irish Foxhound, has anyone, Bob Flav at thenextgear.com, by the way, in case you want to know my email addresses. Hi, Bob. It's Munster Van, I had that one. Irish Foxhound, has anyone noticed the extra bug splatter on the windscreen door, non-essential workers not driving much? True. There's more bugs around, obviously, because there's less cars and less trucks and less vans and less everything at the moment and less airplanes. Did anyone notice how good the weather is without any airplanes up there? Brilliant. That cloud seeding things they were doing, whatever they call it, that's terrible conspiracy theory, isn't it? William Bellingham, hi from Edinburgh, Scotland. Good to have you, William Bellingham. Cool one. Dermot Walsh, REVRT. The drop in value of second-hand cars doesn't really matter that much because it's the cost of changing the car that counts. Correct. But if the cost of the car you're buying is less, then the cost of changing the car will compensate for that. So if you're going to pay €1,000 and the car goes down by €500 because the VRT is going off it, then the car you're trading in goes down by €500, it's still €1,000. It's not going to make a bloody difference. The cost of change is still going to be the same. But the cars, if you're buying straight deal, might become a little bit cheaper. N-Hug-B opoids. Don't know what that means, Nova Bolt, but thanks for commenting. Garrett Hussey, hi Bob. My Volvo XC60 got written off by rats. Yeah, that can happen for sure. Yeah, once they cut through, once the rats get into, once rats or mites or gets into the wiring loom or any of the sort of stuff, they can absolutely eat lumps out of it, and it becomes uneconomical to even begin to put the wiring back together again, because wiring is something that's generally buried in the car. You can't really do much with it. Once it gets cut, it's cut. Anyway, I need something four-wheel drive, cheap to run, that can tow medium trailer, low budget, 12 to 15 grand, anything we're considering. It's the low budget part. Towing is a big issue. Anything Toyota will tow at that. Ford Rangers, older ones, will tow at that. If you're looking for something new, 12 to 15K, no, nothing out there at that kind of price. You'd be surprised what can tow quite a way, but if it's medium, like we're talking about horse box weight here, you're going to have to go Ford Ranger, VW Amarok, what was the other one? The Mitsubishi L200s. You can get a couple of them reasonably priced as well, thereabouts, but there wouldn't be much. XC60, unfortunately, is one of those. It's a nice car, you know. It can be hard to replace with cars without going exactly the same car again. Johnny Dub, afternoon, lads. Late to the party again. That's the way, you know, it's all right. When you drop in on nowhere, it's absolutely fine. Tobor says, hi Bob, what's your thoughts on Ford stopping production on the Focus model? Thanks. Stopping the Focus as well. God loves poor old Ford. Just won't make any more cars. Is probably the best way of it now. Ford just to kind of cut it out now. Forget the Mondeo, forget the Focus. She will drop the Fiesta as well. Sure, why not? Might as well. It's a problem. Look, Ford have been at war with themselves for years. This is the problem. They had a head start years ago. Henry Ford, it's a family business. This is always a big problem when you're trying to make progress and moving forward and getting forward, and there's family behind going, I don't think grandfather would like us to do that. Then you've got a problem. Then you're not making business decisions. You're making this decision, and that's not business. That doesn't help. So Ford have been fighting amongst Ford Europe, Ford UK, and Ford America have always been kind of at each other. Even Ford Australia fell out with Ford America at one point. They've been trying for the last few years to get them all back together. They fired their investment into a hybrid engine a couple of years back. Nobody liked it. They fired their investment into battery technology. Nobody really bought into that either. They bought up Rivian or something in the US. They wanted to buy production in that. That didn't quite work out either. Now they're fighting amongst themselves again. Like, it's not an infinite bottomless pit, Ford. You need somebody who can make big decisions. You need to put an MD in place who can make global decisions. Their global platform did not work out for them at all, I don't think. The idea of launching a Ford Mondeo across the world, and now they've cancelled the Ford Mondeo essentially. It's very hard to do it. It's very, very tricky, fine line. But like, you need somebody who's able to understand the industry as well as understand the financial backing that is required to make these things work. Jason Cave points out, as David Icke, he's on London Real website tonight at 5 p.m. You mean him? I do mean David Icke. Was mentioned last week. People were asking about his opinions on COVID-19. I know I said his YouTube channel has been deleted. I would suggest that London Real website would be the next big threat that would be deleted of him. Alex Jones down in Dub says he was deleted as well because they're cranks, because they like this. They like to annoy people and get people going. And I suppose that's just a headline thing. It's just they're not an official source. So they get deleted. So their opinion is irrelevant. But I like to keep them where I can see them. I don't watch David Icke. I couldn't tell you what he's like. All I know is he used to think that the royal family were lizards or something. I remember that from years ago. Jonathan O'Grady is a very generous person. Thank you very much, Jonathan O'Grady. You're very kind. Don't worry about that. Let's get your business back. Let's get your business back up and run. Once you get yourself open, keep in touch with me. We'll see if we can get everybody out to dealerships, at least in there kicking a bleeding tire. Would be better than just sitting there on their own, wouldn't it? Alan Burke says David Icke has been banned on Facebook as well and YouTube, but interviewed on London Real at 5 today. I'd say I don't know if that's going to go ahead. That London Real guy? I don't know. I watched a video one night on London Real. It's very convincing, but nobody can tell me exactly where this guy has come from, where he's getting his sources from. Just seems to be. See, that's a journalist speak. You instantly go, what's your source on that? How many sources? Have you double checked your source? Are you checking your source? All that sort of stuff. It's very easy to say. Look, if you say enough stuff like David Icke, some of it's right just because you say enough stuff. That's how you work. Some of it eventually will be right. So it's not that hard, Once you get a rat at your loom, it's game over. It is, I'm telling you, I remember a man pulling up years ago at Newbridge Auto Parts when I was sitting in there. And every light on his dashboard was on, every single light, but the car was running fine. And I called a friend of mine, Barry, and Barry came running down, and we had a look underneath the bonnet. Nothing seemed to be out of place until we kind of dug around right into the bottom. We found a little mouse nest. The mouse had just helped himself to a bit of plastic from the wiring loom and put it into his nest. But essentially, he was short-circuiting the wires going everywhere. So the car was working some days and not working other days, and it just depended on whether it was out there or not. And then once the wiring loom is burst, water gets in. Once water's in the wiring loom, it is all over. Forget about it. Crush the car and never look back at it again. Dave Davis says, afternoon, Bob, can I get a quick opinion on a Tiguan 1.5 TSI DSG petrol, please? Thanks for the great videos. No problem. Yes, very good car. Just make sure it's had its recall done on the kangarooing problem that the 1.5 TSI had. It had this habit of, it really only affected the manual gearbox, but it did affect the DSG points as well. When it was picking up from zero, so pulling away on a roundabout, you found this kind of, and then it would go on. It was this weird sort of kangarooing feature. It had something to do with the fuel intake. the nozzle spray nozzle wasn't software-wise, wasn't doing what it's supposed to do. Anyway, just make sure it's done. Really good car. Tiguan is one of the prettiest cars of that size. Really, really pretty. Weirdly, particularly in white. Mark Turner Smith, my regular weekend training ride road bike 50 miles in 3 hours. Mountain bike today 40 miles. XC races 1 hour 30 minutes. 1 hour 40 minutes. Eyes balls out from start to finish. Train all in 6 hours a week. I'd love to get back cycling. I like road bikes now. I prefer going out on the road and having a bit of fun there. Garrett Hussey, hi. Got into the engine bay and worked his way back at the car in use every day. Came out one morning and every warning light possible was on, wouldn't start. See, that's the wiring loom thing. And even the brake lines, they like plastic. And unfortunately, sometimes once they get attracted to a car, I don't know what attracts particularly mice or rats to a particular car, and other ones are left completely alone. But something happens to them. They go, and once they get in, they're very hard to get out. They make a little nest. They like the heat. They like the warm. There's a coffee from the wife now. Oh, she made real coffee as well. That's better than the instant stuff. Very nice. Anyway, Annie McPhee says, I've been getting letters from my banks recently referencing lowering interest rates on savings account. 1.3% now dropping to 0.01. Real drop. That covers my cars and bikes insurance normally, yeah. The problem with savings accounts is very much subject to interest rates. And, that's good for mortgage holders, anyone who's not on a tracker mortgage. Because a tracker mortgage stays the same pretty much. That's interest rate linked to the European Union interest rate. But anyone's not on that, it really does affect them. So if interest rate goes down, it helps out. It really does help out for some people as well. I'm just going to check now, make sure I'm not missing anybody on my in my PayPal, because I hate it when I haven't thanked somebody. And I really do mean thanks to everybody. You've been such a support that allows this channel to just get bigger and bigger. Every time I look at the little number on the screen, I go, oh, wow, look, we got another 10 subscribers. Isn't that great? Just going to skip that a little bit ahead there. Patrick Duffy, hi Bob, thank you very much. Hit star, just trying to get everybody's question answered as best I can while we still have time. Brian says, I have seen some LPG Arctic units on the motorways. Can't remember the companies. However, I'm sure there has been in-depth reviews of this fuel type in commercial vehicles. There's good and bad LPG. There's good and bad biofuels in general. Some of it is is good in that you can make biofuel without really, from digesters and things like that, where you're creating it in a sort of environmental impact that would have happened anyway. So like a digester digests animal feces and turns it into gas that we can use. So that's one. So that would have happened anyway. The animal feces would have been made anyway. So it just uses the thing. That's one way of looking at it. But really, the emissions from the tailpipe are negligible, the same as a petrol or diesel. You're not really doing a whole lot in that sort of way. You really are. If you want to talk about tailpipe emissions, electric's the only one, or hydrogen, but electric's the only one really that stands a chance of even looking at that and going, right, there is zero tailpipe emissions, because there isn't a tailpipe to begin with. The emissions are moved a little bit further on the channel, but generally I saw a little statistic the other day, we're up to 50 something percent wind powered in Ireland at one point there a few weeks ago. So it's totally doable. It's totally there, we're getting there. It's probably higher. Cross 13 knows these things. He's the one who keeps a closer eye on than I do, but it's certainly high on our renewable energies being used in Ireland right now. Good luck arguing that with a guard on the side of the road. That's true. Edison cells nearly doubled the range over Baker's Electric's original lead acids. Good old Edison was still going. Edison had such a career. He wasn't the most prolific inventor, but he had a lot of money. That was his good thing. He made a lot of money from those stud bulbs that he did. Made him a fortune, because it's the only one. But in fairness to him, it didn't take long for other companies to cop on and start making their own bulbs. So he ended up at the back end of the chain by the end of it, Alan O'Brien says, hi Bob, what do you think of Ford dumping the Focus RS for the moment? I imagine the rest of the RS range is going to follow that. I'd say the ST won't be far behind as well. These are all small sales. What Ford used to do was they'd make 1 million Ford Focuses and they'd make 100 RSs and 100 STs and so on. What happened to Ford was they diversified that range. So they started making 500 Focuses and 500 RSs and another couple of 100 STs. or vice versa. And they kind of messed up their market range. Instead of making it something different, they made it the same. And they lowered the specifications of the ST to be closer to the Ford Focus. So they had to lower the Ford Focus specifications. And it just became this race to the bottom to make profit. And like I say, it's all about profits with car companies, not about passion anymore. They always make money, you know. Brian says 5 kilometers would be from the house to one exit on motorway up to the next one. That's 5 kilometers as the bird flies. Up and down 6 or 7 times, Italian tune-ups until you're 5 kilometers home. That's what you want. There you go. Deadly. If you can do it, you draw a circle around your house. There's a website for this. I don't know what it's called, but you draw a circle around your house for 5 kilometers. You can do anything you want in that 5 kilometers. Just stay away from people. That's what I think about cars. You're not near anybody. Just driving around. Anyway, Byron says, I remember going to Spain as a chap looking to hire a car. I believe the clutch was on the right, and you accelerated with the left foot nearest the wheel arch. No YouTube then. I know a lot of people who said that to me as well. Yeah. Some people say they find it very hard to get out of a right-hand drive car to a left-hand drive car. I never noticed. I just get in and drive. It just seems natural to get in and out. Doing it so long, I suppose. If you want to see modern chaos as Irish Foxhound on roads, go to some countries in the Far East, madness on the roads, India too. You know, you can find that in Europe. You don't have to look very far to find that sort of chaos. It's definitely here in Europe as well, in places. Morto Lumnagog says, hello, sir. No problem. Capital S when you're saying sir, and capital H for hello. Beginning of a sentence. Anyway, VW Golf Driver, tips for starting a car YouTube channel that does videos like top 5 best new cars, best first car, etc. Basically ranking car videos. Well, if you're going to start that, first of all, you need to explain the fact that you've never driven those cars. So you can't say the top 5 best new cars unless you've driven 10 cars, and then you're picking 5 that are your favorites. That's what I mean by best. You can say the top 5 new cars. That's it. You're not saying which one is the best one, right? Because you can only do things from experience. You can only review something because you've experienced other things around you. That's it. But if you're going to start a YouTube channel now, don't expect to get a single view on it for a good 6 months. There you are. I've just destroyed your dreams. I know YouTube is far, far harder than Hollywood to get views on, unless you're already famous, unless you're coming from a platform like Facebook or Instagram or somewhere that you've already got an audience that you're going to drag along with you. If you're starting with a brand new channel at zero, it's hard. It's very, very hard to get views and even harder to get subscribers. I deleted some old videos and things that were there and took stuff down and changed stuff over and stuff. Now I end up essentially deleting 1.5 million views. So the channel was at 21.5 million views. Now it's at 20 million views. I've just deleted some old videos that were there. They were hanging about like a bad smell. So I got rid of them. Now, the channel has, say, 21 million views, right? But it has less than 50,000 subscribers. That's how hard it is to get subscribers. That happens every day. Millions of channels come and go every day on YouTube. Hardly anyone survives the first 3 months. There is actually an Irish Facebook YouTube group as well. And if you look at them, you see a lot of the people, even people who lead the Facebook group, haven't made a video in 2 years because it's just hard. It's very hard to do it every day. Cobblestop says, General Vlogger managed to find out who the family was in a 1906 video. The family where the dad with the mustache had a kid in his lap and a similar African-American driving in the middle of the machines. Go away, no way, because I used that. I thought it was brilliant because it's just like, I think there was maybe 7 or 8 people in that car and the car behind them was the same. Just like load people, because they came from horse and carts. So in a horse and cart, everybody just got in and piled in on top of one another. So when they got out of horse and carts and got into cars, they just did the same thing. They just all piled in. There was no seatbelt or anything, so it was fine. Mark Turner Smith says, about the Irish VRT, does this mean you could run a car longer term on British plates? Ask this as we've lots of Polish workers in the UK long term bringing their cars on Polish plates. VRT is closed. I know that because there's a car that I am supposed to be testing that has UK reg plate on it right now and can't be VRT to get an Irish reg plate on it, so I'm not picking it up. It is closed. Yes, I suppose you can get by it. You would have to check with the local Gardaí. I strongly advise people to ring the Garda office and just ask your local Garda station, just ask them, Is it okay? My car is on UK reg because you're not supposed to be driving on UK reg here. You end up getting a fine out of absolutely nowhere and not even know what happened to you. I'm scrolling back up because we hopped forward there. There's Mark. So I've seen that. The BDI is on it now. John Bitt. Hi, Bob. Do you see repair maintenance departments of garages opening on the 18th of May? Yes. I hope to God. Yes, John. I'd love to did. I've had so many messages from workers out there and people who are going to and from work who need services on their cars and can't get them. Now, I have the vast majority of sort of ran a bit of a problem last week. I had to go to Twitter and find somebody, but I did find somebody for a frontline worker to get their car serviced. So I'll be getting people in touch with other people who can do the servicing for them, but I hope the service departments at least will open on any main dealer up soon, and anyone else who's fixing cars, because there's a lot of cars out there need work done to them. So I would hope so. It would seem to me to be a critical service, if I'm honest. Servicing a car, maintaining a car would be a critical service. So I would imagine they need to open that stuff. Morto Lumnagog. That's a good name. Have you lots of things at your back? You have lots of things in your back. I have, yeah. This is a room. This is my office, full of stuff, full of things, stuff and things, as you would call it. There's all kinds of stuff that gets things that get sent to me and stuff that I like, and all, you know, that sort of stuff. Hitster says I had that circumference is pi multiplied by d. How can that be incomplete? It's basic maths formula. I don't know what that means. Video with the golf driver. Bob, I saw your channel had a minus a few figures last few days on YouTube. Was that YouTube copyright mistakes again? No, what happened was I had old videos out there that had copyrighted music in them. Now, they're not technically affecting the channel, so they're not copyright strikes of any kind. They're just the music rights belong to somebody else. So what I was doing was, the thing was, like, some of those videos had like 500,000 views on them, and all of the money from those videos was going to somebody else, and the copyright started to change. So what happens with copyright is it's sold in tranches, sold in bundles, right? Copyright is a commodity unto itself, right? So is patents on cars. Ask Bill Gates how many patents him and Microsoft have bought up other people's patents and make money on every year. But anyway, besides that, that's another investigation entirely. The problem is, some of those videos were dragging the channel down in that the YouTube was saying, well, you have actually got copyright things sitting up here. So what I did was I changed out the music on the ones I could, and the ones I couldn't, I just downloaded them. So I keep them on my hard drive, but I deleted them off the channel entirely. So it looks like 1.5 million views disappeared off the channel, but actually it's just me deleting things. Once I get it into my mind to do something, it's just going to happen. That could be digging a hole in the ground that would take me to Australia. That's what I'm going to do next. That's usually where things go for me all the time. Cross 13, VW had a whole host of issues with the ID3 software. All right, I heard some horror stories from the testers of multiple crashes of displays per hour and serious motor control software problems. Oh my God. Just thought Jonathan O'Grady, Sunday Service Facebook page is there. Go in and slap in a link to your stuff there. We'll share it out. We'll do what we can. We do whatever is in our power. I can't guarantee people are going to go down and buy a pile of vans off you, but you know, you could be the Sunday Service van authority or something. Ivan Power, your comments on Michael Moore's film Planet of Humans, please. I didn't watch it, but you know what? I tell you why I didn't watch it, because there's just so much furore about it. That's another yoke. I've seen someone else saying, so you should be taking it down, should be deleting it. It's just an opinion. Everybody should have an opinion. Just because his opinion is not like your opinion, and because he's a filmmaker somehow or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just another opinion. It's just another twist on reality. It's his version of reality. As far as I'm aware, looking at the statistic behind it, a lot of his information is outdated, rather than, because information is changing on a weekly basis. And a film in Michael Moore's world, a film or a documentary, might take 5 years to make, to get funding to go ahead and do it. Whereas if you look on YouTube, most YouTubers just make stuff. They don't wait for funding. It just happens. They just do it and be done with it. So a lot of them are more up to date than Michael Moore and all his kind. So it's very hard to be up to date for these guys. And I don't know, you know, he's going to get a lot of viewers on, I suppose, but I'm not too sure about an opinion. I haven't watched it. Cross 13 says Ukraine is a big EV market. They buy a lot of secondhand Leafs from the Western markets. Guy with a Model S from Galway drove to Morocco. That's the guy. There's another guy who did Belarus. I plan on Ukraine next year. And that was the guy I was talking about. He's in the Tesla thing. He drove to Morocco with a Model S. Just a few years ago. This wasn't exactly like last year, and it was a while. Colin Bradley says, great Sunday service today. Thank you very much. Your views on Citroen C5 Aircross diesel petrol. Is there a plug-in hybrid available? Don't need a plug-in hybrid on that now. No, it's not stringing my mind. Although I know Citroen and Peugeot did have a diesel hybrid for a while. It wasn't a plug-in. I don't know if they've had a diesel hybrid recently. Now, C5 Aircross is really, really comfortable, but it's not very dynamic. And by dynamic, I don't usually normally like that word, but when you turn into a corner, it sits down and you slide across the seat. But it's really comfortable and will do what you want it to do. Now, reliability, I can't really speak for. Who knows? Who knows? You may talk to Citroen Owners Club or something to see about how reliable they are. But at the moment, really, would I make you go and buy just a straight diesel or a straight petrol? Tricky, that one. Tricky. I don't need to have a plug-in hybrid yet. I would wait, Colin, quite honestly. So if you're going to buy a brand new car and you're looking for something really right up to date, I would wait until September or October this year and see what's coming out there. There's going to be so much choice, and I guarantee there's going to be a ton of battery-powered yokes hitting the market in that time as well. It's going to come. Hub Notice back in the UK, great channel. It is a great channel. I binged it. I mean, I just started binging through all sorts of things. I forget half the things I saw. He did great videos on, I think it was in New Zealand, I think, where I used to live. He was there. And it was some great cars that just brought back tons of memories for me. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name. Mihai Balasan. Hi, what would you choose in a Mazda CX-5, Kia Sportage, VW Tiguan, or Kia Exceed? Newer second-hand use. Which one would you consider to be the quietest on the motorway? Okay, Tiguan's going to be quietest on the motorway because they do those Dunlop tires. Kia Sportage is going to be the 7-year warranty, 150,000 kilometers, is it? Or 100,000 kilometers. Camera was 100 and 150. It's a good warranty anyway. Mazda CX-5 is going to be the most sporty out of the group. The Kia Exceed is not really in the race against the other three. Wouldn't be considered the same thing. Out of those three, if my own money, I would buy a Tiguan. DSG, lovely car. Kia Sportage would be second. CX-5 would be third, but only because CX-5 is just, it's a bit too firm for me. I'm not really keen on. Mazda are very good at small, sporty, like Mazda 3, Mazda 6, MX-5. They're very good at that. When they get into those kind of soft roader things, they tend to make it too firm for comfort. So it's kind of weird. I would pick, yes, Tiguan first, Kia Sportage second. But they're slightly interchangeable. I might just veer off when it goes to Volkswagen and go to a Kia dealership instead. John Carney, talk to your insurance company. We got decent refund from them. If you've paid for the year, you will have a little bargaining power. If you are a monthly payment, definitely talk to them. Yeah, do. Always. Anytime you're talking about finance, anytime you're talking about banks, finance, going to dealerships, going to an insurance company, any of that sort of stuff, if you talk to the bank as if they're not an enemy, they're often nice. Remember, most of these guys are just humans. They're just humans being told what to do. But if you talk to them in a nice way and talk to them reasonably of what they need to do, then, you know, you'll get further along. Maminsk says weather is nice in Detroit, so hundreds of hot rods and classic cars driving on Woodward Avenue this afternoon. Police everywhere trying to break up groups of spectators. So much social distancing. That's going to be the biggest problem, lads. It all looks deadly until the social distancing kicks your ass. Reference David Icke, even a broken clock is right twice right a day. Well, I'll start that again. Reference David Icke, even a broken clock is right twice a day. That is correct. As with all of these guys, they want to be famous. They want to make money from being famous. You get famous by being controversial. That's the shortcut to fame, by the way, is to be controversial. Sit here and say, Toyotas are rubbish. Right, and I stand by that. That's going to be my. That's how you get there, you know. Or everything's wonderful in the world, and you make videos like, you know, Robert Llewellyn does, which is just being a pleasant actor in front of a camera, and it comes across that way, and that works for him as well. It's just two ends of a different kind of scale. So if you say enough stuff, eventually some of it's right and some of it sticks, and people hear the royal family are lizards, or you know, that's what they hear, and they latch onto the way they go, and that's happening with our own. That Irish woman, whatever, Gemma O'Doherty, she's a lunatic as well, but she's playing that card very, very well. She wants to be arrested. And the more fuel you give her by retweeting and going, this woman's mad, and retweeting her stuff, don't block her. Forget about it. Not happening. That's it's just not happening in my world. Where are we next? Hitstar says hardly any vehicles on the road, but ironically the van delivering our food order from Iceland crashed and delayed. I saw a picture the other day in Bulgaria. Was it Bulgaria? No, maybe it wasn't Bulgaria. Somewhere anyway, Soviet Union style place. On pure lockdown, there was 2 cars on the road and one had rear-ended the other across like 5 or 6 lanes of traffic, and one rear-ended the other. Computer Bob says Irish Hollywood or one in LA. The one in LA. You could definitely get a job in Hollywood in Ireland. There's a Hollywood in Ireland, by the way, in Wicklow. I've driven through it many times. Great hill out of Hollywood on the way out. Martin Cleary, I'm late, Bob. Sorry I was happening. Number 4, someone a bit of painting. Have I missed any? You missed everything. You know how late you are. Like, you're so late that it's nearly over. That's how late you are. Fortunately, you can watch this stuff back later on. So that's just always good. Annie McPhee says, this the blue thing we can see on the right with ERG written on it. Is that the official Sunday? This is the guest chair. It's actually a kid's chair. It's one of those little IKEA kids chairs. It sits here beside me. It's currently got loads of crap on it, electrical bits and stuff from Hoovers and stuff, because I'm still clearing this room down of things that don't fit in other rooms. You know, it's been one of those rooms that I've used as an office for a long time, but it just got filled up with stuff. Like I have things like, look, there's an Ethernet switch, not even out of the box yet, right? There's a laptop here. There's a packet of screwdrivers here as well. Everyone needs a screwdriver. I got cameras. I got tripods. I got bigger tripod over there. I got everything. Like anything I need is right here nearby. So I don't normally clear out too many things because I know where everything is. I know what the cable box. I know what everything is over there. I know every single yoke in place. So it's fine. Bill Gates is a secret triangle army to keep removing my comments, says Jason gave. Bill Gates. So Bill Gates is very clever, and it's not just from vaccines. He's very clever from the fact he brought up a lot of patents over the years, and then just blocks anybody inventing anything unless they pay for the patent. So he makes money from that patent every year. Anyway, Martin Smith, the weather's been lovely in Bournemouth, UK, but Bournemouth, just give me, sorry, I missed that end of that. Bournemouth International Airport working normal traffic for sure. We have no air traffic, nothing. I mean, you can look on the only guys are going to America. That's all we have. Byron says, Bob, if you run out of content, you show us your tax returns. How do you do self-employed tax returns? It's over there, the book. 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, all the way through. That's my latest one, but the other one goes back to 2010. So I've been self-employed for like 8, fully 10 years, but I worked for the Indo for a year, and I worked for Midlands 103 as like full-time in those PRSI positions, but I stayed as a self-employed person during those times as well. So tax returns is just tax returns. You just pay your tax, but you know, nobody ever really wants to pay tax. Show us your tax return there, Byron, while you're at it. Go on, slap it out and have a look, see what yours look like from your taxi driving days. Sure, you were self-employed during that time, no? Mark Smith, when will Ford ever bring us such grades as the Mondeo ST220 and Escort Cosworth again? Sad state of affairs. The saddest state of affairs is I'm not sure Ford, as the company that exists right now, are going to survive the next 5 years unless they have a radical rethink on who's in charge, on what's happening, and who's making decisions. And the reason for that is you have American Ford, with the family still involved, Ford. I met the dude. I was at the Ford thing at Cork. He came here. He seems very nice. But you got him at the top, who has a certain kind of lifestyle that he was brought up around, with security and big house. And, you know, he's Ford, right? His last name is Ford. So, and they're no relation to Harrison Ford, by the way. And that Ford is making decisions for things that happen in Europe. And European Ford is making decisions to things that happen in the UK, and that's not working. That communication is not working. And the Americans saying, no, look, we don't want any more Focuses, Mondeos, we just want to sell SUVs. And Europe is going, but people aren't buying big SUVs over here. They're not buying Ford F-150s. Nobody's buying them. Why would you want to just get rid of all of that? This is the arguments that are happening back and forwards. And instead of Ford US going, Ford Europe, you do what you need to do, make it work. That's what you need. That's actually what really needs to happen. Lots of conversation between each other. I missed that. Sort of V8 Mustang. I got that. The opposite side of Dublin of the planet, New Zealand. In fact, Frank Metcalf says New Zealand. Yeah, he was. I used to live in New Zealand. David was onto the truth somewhat, and that's why they're trying to silence him. Well, wrong kind of day. But whether look like everything is the truth if you say it often enough. There's actually a phrase in that. There's you know, those kind of old wives' tales that eventually people think is true, just because enough people have said it. That's really, really what happens the whole time. So generally speaking, David Icke could be true because he just says enough stuff. He's prolific, like he's everywhere. Blog posts, videos, every video, every day. You know, you just keep saying enough stuff, and eventually people start to believe you. Someone's going to believe you. It's a big enough world today, particularly YouTube. If you can get even a start of an audience on YouTube and people believe what you say, you'll find someone, that person will convince somebody else and so on. So I'm not saying he's wrong or the system's wrong, but I don't like censorship. I really, really rally against censorship. If somebody has an opinion, then it's YouTube's job, Instagram job, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, to let that opinion be shared. These people in Silicon Valley who are worth billions, it's not their job to control information. And yet that's what we've given them the license to do. That's what they do now. They say David Icke is wrong. He's wrong. He is wrong. And we're going to just delete the fella from the world. That's exactly what they've done this morning. It doesn't matter whether he's right or wrong. It doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. You're entitled to your opinion. If you drive those opinions underground, it doesn't change them. It just makes them go away, and eventually they resurface in another way. That's how you end up with Trumps in the world. You delete all their opinions about guns and everything else, and all of a sudden he appears anyway. Some other version of him appears. Cross says, I wish people stop listing hybrids as electric on cars on. Still difficult to get a decent EV under 10 grand. Yeah, EVs are still holding their value quite well because there's a big demand. There's not many of them. I mean, there's not a big supply of them. So there's not a great big glut of them sitting there. But hybrids are not EVs. They're part-time EVs. Are probably the best explanation I can get of them. I have a Toyota CHR outside. Self-charging hybrid, right? It doesn't really. It's the engine starts up and charges the battery. And the battery temporarily runs the drivetrain. That's essentially what it does, but temporarily. But it starts up and it puts out its CO2 and its NOx and everything else is normal. So realistically, when you're looking at electric cars on CarsOn, and CarsOn should take this into themselves, not just CarsOn, Cars Ireland, all of them, done deal, the whole lot, should have an electric only zone that is 100% electric powered, and that's it. Hi Bob, can you comment on the auto gearbox failed on my 2-liter DSG Skoda Superb 161 with 140,000 kilometers on the clock? It cost me $3,000 to fix. 161. When did you buy it? Did you buy it new? 161. 161. Shouldn't have failed. It shouldn't have, but it would be outside the warranty. Technically, gearboxes are a wear-out part, so they can just wear out. And tend not to be covered under warranties. Now, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I can comment on it. It's very hard to comment on an individual case of one Skoda 2-liter DSG gearbox breaking, but it is a major concern. Skoda would normally be on top of that. I haven't had anyone else come on to me saying there's a problem with their DSG boxes, but that doesn't mean it isn't true, right? It's unusual. It's not unheard of, but it's certainly unusual for a gearbox to go at 140,000 kilometers, particularly in automatic gearboxes. Automatics don't tend to be any more unreliable these days than they were. I mean, years ago, automatic gearboxes would just like forget it. If one gear would go, that's the end of your car. But these days they can survive pretty much anything. But it's a very unusual case that I would come across on the DSG going. $3,000 is pricey enough as well, in fairness to it, to change out your gearbox. They weren't doing you a lot of favors on that one. Cross 13 says the only flight over Dublin right now is one of the cargo flights from Beijing bringing PPE. Oh, nice. Where was I? There we are, still going down. Dace Team says, hi from Germany, Bob. How do you rate a Dacia Docker? What's a Dacia Docker? Is that another Dacia I haven't heard of yet? Dacia, as a company, fills a certain point, or used to fill a certain point of the market, which was if you were in a 10-year-old car, getting into a new Dacia was a step up, quite a big step up. But now they're trying to compete with the lower end of the market. So they're starting to get a little bit expensive as well, a little bit kind of. So I wouldn't be too gone on what Dacia is trying to do right now. I think Dacia was doing a really, really, really good job at being very affordable, very reasonably priced, and just at the right point of the market. That was kind of interesting as well. I want to ask you a question as well before you all leg it. If you're watching the video, what I'm going to do is put on a background for the laugh, right? And you can have a bit of a laugh and watch this, right? So here we go. Here's a background of San Francisco. See what Zoom can do that? That gas, isn't it good? But if you move about in the wrong way, you disappear into the. See the way my hand disappears and it can't quite latch on to what my hand is. It's gas, isn't it? But there's San Francisco. Then there's grass, wet grass, and then there is, look at that. There is space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of Starship. There's a tropical island. Look, that's animated. Look at that one. See what my computer can do these days? Look at that. Look. Isn't that great? Sitting on a little kitchen chair out on the beach. And then there is the whatever that is. This is good enough. You can check out that stuff down below, by the way. If you want to look in the comments down below, you'll see details of how to get that on your system. Talk to Corago, the company Corago, and check out that down there if you want to get your zoom on. It's pretty good, actually. If I had a green background, if I had a green screen, which I don't bother with, but if I had one, it would actually look, it would look like you were in the scene. It's pretty good. A Dacia Docker is a Peugeot partner of Citroën Berlingo, right? Well, they're okay. They're all right. Peugeot partners, fine. 60,000 every for 15k motor oil change. I don't know what that's in relation to. The old Renault Kangoo is a Dacia Doctor. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a Renault. That's what Dacia just take stuff that Renault don't use anymore and put it into their own thing. That's it. Can you insert your own background just as a pic? I think you can. I don't know how to do it, but I think you can. Yes, I think there is a way of doing virtual backgrounds. Is what is on first. Choose virtual background. I don't see. I have a green screen. Oh, you can add in. You can have a green screen as well. I don't see. Yes, you can. You can add an image or a video yourself in the background if you want that. What happens when you do that? This is where things get out of hand now. Let me see. What happens? Look at that! Wow, look at who killed the electric car. Look at the background. That's so cool. I like that. Ooh, we might have to keep something like that. I might have to make a background. When I make a background, I'll put it in there. But see, when I move like that, it loses track of me, and then you disappear like your arm. Look, your whole arm's go boom. It's only when you're thin. When you're skinny, it can't quite latch onto who you are. And suddenly you're there. Open your fingers. Look, I miss a finger. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Back to another one. Jamie Campbell says, well, Rob, I'm a 13-year-old car fanatic. You're not alone. There's another one in the comments there as well that I know well. 13-year-old car fanatic who loves cars and was going to ask your opinion on cancelling the Ford Focus RS. We've been through that, Jamie. You were late. You were late to the party. We talked about the Ford Focus RS already. It is a shame, of course, but Ford are running out of money and they're making crazy decisions to kill off what beautiful band of people they had surrounding the Ford man, who was like a Toyota man. You know, families of people who bought Fords, families of people who bought Toyotas are being killed. Simple as that. Brightness in a room would help the virtual background. Yeah, I have a light here in front of me, which is this. There's a light here in front of me that's lighting my face right now, but I'm going to get, there's a bigger light that I'm after as well, which is sort of a front down LED softbox light, which will light my face, will separate me from the background a bit better, so it'll look nicer behind me anyway. But I don't really care about the background. It's me talking is what people, you know, the chit chat. It's what people come for. People listen to this on downloads on Spotify and stuff. You know, you can get this as a podcast in the end. I don't know how the sound is going to be today because I'm using the Logitech cam to do it, but it's okay. Having fun is always random picture for you're great. Bob, where the Sunday service light up box? Where is the Sunday service? Oh yeah. I never brought it up for me. I should put it up there, shouldn't I? That's what I should do. It's downstairs still. It works better than less stuff in the background. Oh Jesus, big problem with getting less stuff in the background on my shot. Have you seen that? We're well over time as usual, 4:15, and I gotta go to the bottle bank and drop all the stuff out of the bottle bank and get some dinner on. dinner. I'm looking forward to dinner. I'm starving today for some reason. And a nice glass of wine, because today is a bank holiday. I know it feels like Groundhog Day, and I know we're coming to the point where we all want to get back outside and do things, right? But you've got to stay safe. You've got to try and avoid and keep that curve flattened down, and try and avoid getting sick, and try and avoid catching anything. And if you do, then socially distance yourself and get away and sit in a room and play video games or something. Try to keep yourself entertained. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to put up more of those documentary style things. There's a review of the Passat, which is in the can right now. There's a review of the Toyota CR-V, CHR, whatever you call it. I'm never going to remember those names. That's on the way as well. I'm going to film that tomorrow. And I have another video coming out about Tesla, a video coming out about lots of documentary stuff. You're going to enjoy it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you click that little bell beside the subscribe button, because that gives you a notification when a video goes up so you don't miss anything. Because people always complain, oh, I saw your diesel video, but didn't see the other one. That's what happens a lot. Anyway, thank you very much for joining in again today. It's been a brilliant, brilliant Sunday service. I hope you will join me again next Sunday for another Sunday service, where I'll try to keep you entertained just a little bit longer during our lockdown. Make it part of your week if you can, please, or join in on the podcast afterwards, which is available on Spotify and Apple and everywhere else that you get it. Thank you very much for joining me today again. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.